All right, we ready to get this meeting to order? This is the fire board meeting. All right, you want to roll call?
You know what?
Board Member Schroeder.
Present.
Board Member Jablonski.
Here.
Board Member Braycruz.
Here.
Vice Chair Fiskelli.
Here.
And Chair McKay.
Here. Okay, stand for the pledge, please. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Sorry.
I'm going to be spending all that.
What am I doing?
Yeah, good, Mayor,
Yes,
if I may, first I'll say good evening.
go right ahead.
For tonight's meeting for the Volunteer Fire Department Board of Directors, there's really one order of business that's before you this evening. As you all know, we replaced the chief vehicle for the Volunteer Fire Department. Chief's driving the new vehicle, the old vehicle, the Crown Vic with 170,000 miles on it. We're looking for council approval to surplus that vehicle and put that vehicle up for sale.
Sell it.
I'll make a motion to put it up for sale and sell it.
I second it.
Okay, any public comment? Seeing no public comment is closed. Back to the council.
Mayor?
Should
Yeah.
the motion be to surplus it? Yeah,
Actually, I prefer that Russell read the motion,
Right.
the resolution
Okay.
properly into the record.
All right, go ahead.
Thank you. Thank you, Councilmember.
This is a resolution of the Board of Directors of the Southwest Ranches Volunteer Fire Rescue, Inc., declaring one fire officer vehicle and 5 emergency roof rack vehicle lights as surplus inventory, authorizing the town administrator to properly declare and to dispose of the surplus inventory, waiving all applicable procurement code provisions to the contrary, allowing the town administrator and town attorney to execute any and all documents that may be necessary to dispose of the surplus vehicles, and to effectuate the intent of this resolution and providing an effective date.
motion to approve.
Second.
Any public comment on this matter? Seeing no public comment is closed. Back to us. No comment?
No.
Okay, call the question.
Councilmember Schroeder. Sorry, Board Member Schroeder.
Yes.
Board Member Jablonski.
Yes.
Board Member Braycruz.
Yes.
Vice Chair Fiskelli.
Yes.
And Chair McKay.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Okay, is there any other business, Chief, that you'd like to bring up or say anything before we close this? Okay, go right ahead.
Great.
I would like to introduce the new Assistant Chief with the Southwest Ranches Fire Rescue. I'll give you a quick little briefing on him, and I'll let him tell you, but he has a long history in the fire service, starting out in the Air Force, and I'll let him get into it, then going on to the Broward County Fire Rescue, the Broward Sheriff's Office Fire Rescue, and he's spent his career in many different divisions, training, hazmat, but at this, I'll turn it over to Steve Aniskevich.
Good evening, everybody. Like I did last night at the fire board, I'll open it up for questions. I'm here to answer anything that you might have of me. Like the chief said, I started my career in the Air Force, U.S. Air Force in 1978, at Homestead Air Force Base as a career firefighter there, and transitioned out into the county, Broward County, went to work with the airport at the aviation division, and spent some time there, and then I transferred to Broward County Fire Department, where I spent the rest of my career for the next 34 plus years, and went through the various divisions within the department. The only division I did not make was the Inspection Bureau. Just didn't appeal to me at the time. But I did spend a few years with Chief Menon as his executive officer at Port Everglades, which everybody knows is quite a bustling area of commerce and people traffic. So that in a nutshell is basically my career. I retired in 2015. A few weeks later, I got a phone call as I was watching my grass grow and decompressing was Chief Bennett, and he had a position, and I felt bad, but it was like, it was the first time I had ever said no to him, and I said, I wasn't ready. So 2 years later, watching the grass grow, and decided, I got another phone call, and this time, I guess it was like, okay, all right, I'll help out. I'll help you if you need some help. It's not like we don't know each other. So I came and started this process, and that's what leads me to you tonight.
We were just going to acknowledge it at the end of the meeting.
Any questions of you all?
You may want to, while you don't live in our town, you live about as close to our town as you can possibly live without living in there. You want to,
In 1989, December of 89, I moved, my wife and I, expecting our first child, moved into Ivanhoe, the Ivanhoe area over here, west of I-75, and it's, we're sandwiched between the two.
great.
The town.
yeah, right in the middle of town.
Right, so I'm as close as you can get without really, actually, I was a proponent of just having Southwest Ranches take that little section, but that never went anywhere.
Great.
I was just asked, when I transferred from the aviation division, I was a firefighter, and I was assigned on a fire truck, but we were out east at the time, and out here was much more rural than it is now, and we would be called from the Sunshine Ranches Volunteer Fire Department to come out and assist with brush fires, and I had the opportunity many times to work with Charlie Tona, and we put a lot of brush fires out here, and I had a unique opportunity to make it to the hill. Well, we call it the hill now, but to the dump many times. I spent many nights putting fires out there, so that's a little more history from my perspective.
So I'm assuming, being in the service and all, you run a tight ship.
Yes, of course, I'm understanding.
Well, it's a service, being in the service, tight ship. If he was over people, they had a job to do, and you had to make sure that it got done.
Oh, yes, I considered myself a fair leader. I wasn't overtaxing. I allowed I was a captain. I retired out of BSO as a captain. And my last 5 years, I was assigned to Tower Ladder 81 out here in Weston. And I had 9 other people under my command on a shift, and I had 2 other lieutenants, so I would divvy out the work and let them do it. I believed in letting them take care of the business. I wasn't a micromanager. And when there was an issue with personnel, it wouldn't come to me, it would come to them, then they would come to me. So that's the way I distributed the work and was fair about it.
Welcome aboard.
Thank you, sir, very much. I appreciate that.
Jump in
Yes,
here,
welcome.
I'm sorry, sir?
Garrett, go ahead.
Welcome.
Thank you, sir.
and,
We all say
we're-
welcome.
We're glad
Thank you, ma'am.
We're glad you stepped up.
Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. Welcome aboard. Look forward to having you. I think you're going to be a great contribution to our team.
I hope to be. I don't want to be a detriment. Thank you very much.
All right. Any other questions, or we're good? We're done with the fire board.
Mayor?
Go ahead.
Or Chair, excuse me.
Yeah, go ahead. That's okay.
So at we had the fire board meeting, advisory board meeting last night. A couple of things came out that I just want to bring to the board's attention. The one that concerns me the most is that when the work is done for the new modulars that are being put out there, one of the options is to move the firefighters that are out there to the station at Volunteer in Sterling for a 2 to 3 month period while that's being done. I find that to be completely unacceptable, and I hope that you all will find that to be completely unacceptable. We've got to find a solution out west. We can't, it's already to get out to 210, as the statistics that I brought not too long ago. It's already about 8 minutes to get out there. We're adding another 8 or 9 minutes to get out there from there. That's just, it's not, I just don't see it as a viable option. And so we've got to come up with something else. And so I just wanted to bring that forth because that was one of the ideas that was being kicked around. And I just want to kind of nip it in the bud before it.
You going to add it on next meeting for a discussion item, or what's your idea or thought on that?
Well, I think it's more of an administrative function to find how that transition is going to happen. I think that from our board standpoint, I think if we're in agreement that that plan is not a good one, then maybe we can come up with a better one.
I heard your concern. I will tell you that I disagree on your timing as far as 2 or 3 months, but I'll acknowledge that one call is all it takes to potentially
Right.
be a problem.
Right.
So we are looking at other options, and those voices last night were heard.
Good, perfect. And one other thing that I would kind of heard last night, and this is more from a higher level standpoint that I think that we ought to move towards, is I think that it would be good if we could maybe reach out to Chief Downey and try and put together maybe a quarterly discussion with the chief to talk about, so she can hear firsthand some of the, I don't think there's any overriding major issues, kind of deal breaker kind of things out there. But I think there's a lot of things that the town of Southwest Ranches and the town of Davie could work together on in a more positive and constructive way as far as the fire protection and the EMS. And I think that it's not, that through dialogue and a continued dialogue, we can maybe make some headway there. So I'd like to see that move forward too. Does it sound all right?
I guess my question is, how are we going to keep our finger on that button to make sure it's moving and not just get periodical updates and stuff on
Yeah,
this?
right, exactly.
That's my only concern with that.
Yeah. I think that if we had, and I think quarterly is about the right scenario or the right time frame for it. I think if we had quarterly discussions with an agenda, kind of our concerns and the things, and I'm sure they have concerns too, maybe things about certification for our firefighters, or, I don't know what it would be.
Yeah.
But I'm sure they might have some concerns as well. And so if we've got an agenda and we can schedule this out, so that we've always had 3 or 4 in advance already scheduled on the calendar, and we just keep putting the next one out there so that it doesn't drop off. I think that'll be a good positive way to, right now, really our only discussion is when the contract comes up. And then we're, on 2 different sides, and we're going like this because, we're fighting over the same pile of money. So I think that this kind of quarterly discussion is something that can build a stronger bond so that,
Andy, any suggestions from you related to this?
Yeah, I think it's an administrative function to keep that on track, but to bring, to ask the chief to come in certainly once a quarter to have a little further discussion or update the council on things they're working on, or you get to voice some of the concerns that you have, I don't think that's an issue. I mean, I know Rudy's here tonight, who's the assistant chief, but certainly to have Chief Downey here once a quarter, I'm sure she attends every meeting in Davie, so I don't see that as a problem at all. And Rudy, I'm sure you don't either. Yep. Yeah, so to increase that level of communication is fine, but I do want you all to know that if things do come up on fire, obviously, from an administrative standpoint, we convey that information back to Davie. But you'll notice Rudy's here virtually every meeting.
Right.
And so if something comes up, there's the comments that are made. I know he's taking notes, I know he's conveying that back. So even though you may not necessarily get feedback on some of those things in the past, and we'll change that process, I want you to know that your voices have always been heard, that if there's a concern, something comes up here, it does get back to the highest levels of Davie Fire Administration.
Right, and I'm conscious of that, and I think that's good. The goal of this would be not to be necessarily issue-oriented. In other words, okay, we've got a problem, we need your help, let's talk about it. More of a discussion of where we are, where we want to go, what's our long range.
Relationship building.
Yeah, yeah. And here's some things that we see happening today. We know it's not going to change in the next 30 days, but maybe in 2 or 3 years, we can work towards this other goal.
I think only good things will come out of that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good. That's all I have. Thank you.
Gary?
No,
You're good?
Steve, you answered all the questions that were clicking through my head, but what's the goals, the agenda, what's the purpose,
Yeah.
Okay.
and you answered them all. Thank you.
Anyone else have anything? We're going to close the fire board meeting.
Motion to adjourn?
Okay. Accepted. All right. We got to stand to do the pledge again for the next meeting?
Yep.
Might as well.
Call the roll.
Yeah. Call the roll first, yeah.
Councilmember Schroeder,
Here.
Councilmember Jablonski,
Here.
Councilmember Bright Cruz,
Here.
Vice Mayor Fisickelli,
Here.
Mayor McKay.
Here. Stand for the pledge, please.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right. We're going into quasi, or no? Russell?
Yes, Mayor, we have a quasi-judicial hearing. We have 2 items to discuss. I don't know if Mr. Brady would like to read the rules of evidence, and then,
A quasi-judicial hearing is likened unto a judicial hearing, but it's not quite there. Rules of evidence do not apply. However, due process must be afforded to the applicant. The applicant has the burden of proving by substantial competent evidence that it has met each and every applicable criterion that would apply to the specific relief that is being requested. The staff will go first and make its presentation relative to the application, and the applicant then will present to the town council. The town council stands as the panel of judges to determine whether or not the evidence before it meets the burden of substantial competent evidence to prove that the criteria have been served. And there will be a vote on a motion and a vote as to whether or not the application is approved.
Mayor,
Yes.
I want to advise that I have talked with people on this before the meeting.
Okay.
Each of you should state whether or not you've had any contact with the applicant or others, and what your involvement is generally. You don't have to go into time.
Freddie stated he has D, did you?
Mr. Brady?
I haven't
Brady.
spoken to anybody.
You have not?
No.
Mr.
Okay.
Brady?
Steve?
Mayor, we have 2 items, so I just want to make sure that we're clear on which ones we're issuing the disclosures for, so maybe we can do it as we process each particular item.
Take them each one
Right,
separately.
individually. So if I can ask the witnesses who are going to testify on either one of these quasi-judicial items to stand and raise your right hand. Do you swear that the testimony you are about to give is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Let me also observe that those witnesses who have been sworn under oath and who are going to give testimony are subject to cross-examination. Members of the public who are not under oath are not subject to cross-examination. Of course, the applicant is subject to cross-examination.
Okay. So Freddie spoke to, go ahead, Freddie.
I spoke on 4.
On 4?
Yeah.
Okay, is that what we're on right now?
No, we're on item number 3. So let me
Okay.
read, if I may, Mayor, if I could read the first
ahead.
resolution. A resolution and final order of the Town Council of the Town of Southwest Ranches, Florida, approving or denying application number SP 6518 by Bella CES LLC to amend the condition of the Bella Acre Estates site plan, also known as the Reserve. approval pertaining to the timing of construction of a left turn lane as set forth in resolution number 2014-005, authorizing the mayor, town administrator, and town attorney to execute any and all documents necessary to effectuate the intent of this resolution and providing an effective date.
Okay, I need to divulge, I've spoken to the gentleman relating to the left-hand turn lane on Bella Ranches on 172nd. So,
I have not had any.
I met him here at Town Hall and spoke to him. Anybody else?
No, not, I mean, this has been going on for years and years, so, I mean, there's been
This
some
is the
contact,
recent one.
but recently, no, I have not.
Okay.
I think Mr. Kadams has a report, and if you want to.
Okay. Good evening, Mayor and Council. Very simply, one of the conditions of the site plan modification approved in 2014 for this property is that the developer construct the left turn lane into the property from 172nd. The timing is the issue here. The condition required no more than no more than 2 certificates of occupancy could be issued before the turn lane was constructed. The petitioner is now requesting that the council allow up to 5 certificates of occupancy to be issued before the turn lane is constructed. This is at the council's discretion, and I'll turn it over to the applicant.
Yes.
You're up.
Yes, Town Council. We have this requirement. We have not been able to get it done. We have our third house that's almost completed. We've had a lot of difficulty selling houses. Recently just sold one, and we just need more time. We appreciate your help.
Is it,
I don't know, you want to ask the public first?
well, there's a, Jim, how does it, who's,
I can't hear you.
when is it, should we be speaking? I mean, is it their, it's their presentation
I think you
time,
should hear
right?
all the witnesses first, and then in your deliberations, you can ask questions of the applicant or the witnesses.
All right. I mean, I do have some questions.
Okay. You want to wait for the public to go first?
That's fine.
All right. Any public comment on this matter, please? Seeing no public comment is closed. Back to the council.
Appreciate you being here. How many sites are in the entire development?
There's 8 lots. One house closed a while ago. It was actually, we didn't build it. It was part of the previous developer. We built one house, a second house, a spec house, which just like within the last few weeks closed after it was actually CO'd over a year and a quarter ago, in September, I think, 2016. And we have a third house under construction, and we haven't been able to build the turn lane, and we want to be able to finish that house and complete it and get a CO.
I'll say from my perspective, number one is that I believe that it's a benefit for the town, to have that turn lane in place. So and I know that's not what you're requesting here today, but any thought of having a waiver to not put in that turn lane is completely unacceptable to me. 172nd is only going to grow in traffic, and it's going to become more and more important to have that turn lane there. And frankly, I think it's going to be more and more attractive for your development to have that turn lane there. Living west on Griffin Road, I can tell you that people are very much interested in having that left turn lane there for the roads that go south off of Griffin Road. So I think that'll work to your benefit in the long run. I recognize that 3 may be more than two may be a pretty aggressive number. And I personally think that 4 or 5 is probably about the right number. So I don't have an objection to it, with the exception of this. My concern is that here we are at 2, and we're looking to go to 5. What happens when we are building that 5th house? Are we going to be back, and then it's going to be up to 8, or then waive it all together? And so I don't know if there's a way to nail this down that, yes, we'll do this, but this is the end of it. But that would be my inclination, is to grant this, but to somehow get the wording in there that this is it.
Mayor?
Well, we have to.
Go right ahead.
If you're favorably disposed to the granting the petition, which is a modification of a site plan, changing a condition, you may want to consider the requirement of a bond to assure that whenever the trigger is pulled, that there's money and capability there of constructing the roadway. Often we find that, and you've anticipated this, Vice Mayor, you keep creeping along, and then the last CO has been issued, and you don't have the turn lane, and what are you going to do about it?
Right.
Because the developer is probably gone.
Right.
So the bond resolves that problem. If you've got a good bond and you have to get a AAA rated company, yeah.
Okay. That's my thought.
Okay.
If I could,
Anyone
Mayor,
else?
just add to Mr.
Go
Bray's
ahead.
comment.
Jeff.
I'm not sure whether, I'm assuming there was not a bond that was posted with the town, but there was a bond posted with Broward County, because this originated as a Broward County plat requirement. That bond, the applicant has been released from that responsibility by the county and is no longer bonded for this improvement. So we had that before, and we don't have that now.
And that was not us.
Would you have an objection to having a bond? I mean, I know you would not be in
We'd have to
favor of
explore
it.
that.
But,
I'm not prepared for
but
that.
I think you see how that's important to us.
Well, I understand what you want, but I mean, if we could put up a bond, we could have built the left turn lane. It's the same issue.
Can I jump in?
Go right ahead.
Yeah. The quasi judicial process is pretty important, and that's when the negotiations start to come to a successful resolution. And we did that back in 2013, and it progressed into the 14. And I see this as kind of it seems like it's a stall tactic, for lack of a better way of saying it. And I'm not in support of postponing this. I can tell you that right off the bat. It's a road improvement we need, and we decided several years ago that we needed it, and we were unanimous in it. And I think it just needs to be built to move forward. So I'm not in support of this motion, or motion that hadn't been made yet, but
You think I'm kidding?
quasi judicial.
Okay. Anyone else? Freddie?
I agree with him.
Okay. D?
I agree with that.
Okay. Then call the roll.
Well,
There's no motion. There's been no motion.
I thought you had one. I thought he read the resolution, but okay.
Is it a motion to approve?
So what I'm hearing is this, okay, what I'm hearing is this. I mean, I think it works to the town's benefit to see this, these folks are building homes. People are going to move into our town, into a beautiful area. And we're not talking about building high rises or commercial establishments or anything like that. We're talking about building nice homes. If we had a turn lane required for every place that had 2 homes in it to make a turn in, I think that would be pretty unreasonable. Now, I agree that we all came to this conclusion, but I think that there's some logic to what they're saying. And let me reinforce what I started with. That turn lane has to go in. It's an improvement for the town. That's a busy road. It's only going to get busier. It's only going to get more dangerous. It has to go in. Maybe 5 isn't the right number. Maybe it should be lower, but I think it would be to our benefit. We don't need to do anything. We can leave it just the way it is. But I think it would be to the town's benefit to allow them to accumulate a little extra more capital to do the project and still be able to successfully complete what they're trying to do, as opposed to 2 homes, which I guess you all get the benefit of one of those 2 homes because the other one was sold before you got there.
No, the situation in hand is when we purchased the property, there was a house that was half-built,
Oh, okay.
and all there was on the property were cows.
Right.
You know,
So,
we
but you did
purchased it,
sell
we
both
tried to
homes.
improve it, you know, we spent the money at the time, we had FB&O put all their wires underground, so we've,
Yep.
helped that situation. We've done the road and pavers, not just asphalt. We've done the nice landscaping. That home, we sold at the time, we finished it, someone moved it. We just sold the second house. Our third home is about to be CO'd, of which we won't be able to CO it. We won't be able to promote the community. So we really need your help. When we started this process a couple of years ago, we thought we didn't need it. That's over didn't really understand probably what the needs were here. We just need your help. If we deliver and we can build another 2 or 3 homes, it's obviously going to help us and give us time now to plan and get the roadward. If we had to start now, we wouldn't be able to CO our third building, wouldn't be able to sell it. We wouldn't be able to, what we've been doing now is staging the homes so people, when they walk in, they can really see the quality of what we do. So it would take a while. So
if we were to, and I don't know if I suspect I don't have the support for this, but I'll throw it out there anyway. If we were to increase that number so that go from 2 units, which it is today, this third CO pushes you over the limit where that needs to be in there, to 4 units, so that the 5th unit would put you over the limit, okay? And you agreed to not come back, that this is the final deal, so that we have the comfort knowing that only half of it is built, half the value is still out there, which I think is a pretty strong incentive to say that you are going to you're not going to walk away from that. And we know that we don't have to deal with this in another year or 2 when the next 2 units sell again.
Well, I understand none of us want to go through it. We're going to put the lane in. It would surely help us if we were able to get 5 COs and not get the 6. That would definitely,
Well, I think you've already
help
heard from the
us.
council that that's not happening. So I'm trying to work out something in the middle. So it's up,
Make it 4 COs.
that's what I'm saying. 4 COs, the 5th one you have to, before the 5th CO is issued, that lane has to be there.
Well, surely better than what we have today. We want to get it done, but we just want to have enough time to be able to do it.
All right.
And
I don't
we
know
thank you
I don't know
for
if
your
there's any
cooperation.
Listen,
appetite for that or not.
I don't have an issue with assisting and helping them along in that manner, but I'm not so sure that I still don't want some kind of bond or security to know that that's going to happen. I don't want to get it 4 and we get a 5 and they don't have the bond or have the money, and then we have an issue. So
We get to 5, it's only half built out. They can't get the CO. They've got a buyer that's got to walk away from a property and buy someplace else. I think at that point, you're going to put the turn lane in. Well, I would love to have the bond. I mean, the professional is recommending the bond there. What I'm picking up here is that the financial is the difficult part. So we're saying, okay, let's make you spend more money because you're here to try to save money. Listen, I think that's about the best we can do as we sit here, listening to both sides. I would support it, but I'm, you know, I understand the concerns, and I just throw it out there, see where it goes.
I'd support it.
Call it.
You know, I've got nothing vested in here, I just.
None of us do.
The projection should have come a long time ago. This has been going on a very, very long time. The economy has picked up so much. I have seen so many homes knocked down and rebuilt with people coming in and buying. You know, so for someone to sit here and tell me, oh, well, it's not selling, I'm not buying. You know, it's gone on long enough. I personally want to see that lane.
So do I.
And I don't want to see it before the fifth seal. I want to see it now. That was our agreement. That was our contract. You know, eventually you have to plant your feet firm, and sometimes it's not nice. Sometimes it hurts. It's hard ripping that Band-Aid off, but they're not going to walk away from all this money. Some way, somehow, they'll find it. They will find it to put that lane in. So you all know where I stand.
Okay? Go ahead.
If I may, you know, we're ready to CO our third. So our project would come to a halt, and would take, I don't even know how long between the permitting, installation, getting it all done. So we just have to shut down our community. We definitely need your cooperation and, in order to give us that extra time and the extra few homes to build.
Mayor, may I point out?
Go right ahead.
The passage requires unanimity of the council, all 5 votes. If you're going to try to reach a compromise, then the motion should include the elements of the compromise. If there isn't going to be a compromise, the motion should be to approve but to urge a negative vote. Motion should also always be made in the positive, but you urge a negative vote to telegraph that the movement isn't for the approval.
Okay?
Motion? Steve?
Yeah, so the motion would be to deny the request.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I'm not going to make that because I've got another alternative I would throw out there, but.
I make a motion to deny the request.
It should, excuse me, it should be a motion to approve and to urge the denial.
Okay, motion to approve and urge to deny.
Yeah.
Second.
Okay.
Third.
So the negative vote is not to approve, just so you're sure of that. Okay.
Negative vote is.
Not to approve.
Can you call roll call now?
Okay, so Councilmember Schroeder,
No.
Councilmember Jablonski,
No.
Councilmember Bright Cruz,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Fisickelli,
No.
and Mayor McKay.
No.
Okay, so the item does not pass.
We're on to the next item, Mayor.
Sorry. God, sometimes you gotta do nasty things.
Next item, another quasi-judicial item. This is a resolution of the Board of Adjustment of the Town of Southwest Ranches, Florida, approving, denying application number VA 7318 by Enrique Zamora for variance from section 045-100 subsection C of the Town of Southwest Ranches Unified Land Development Code to reduce the required west side yard from 25 feet to 10 feet and 4 inches for a detached garage, and to reduce the required east side yard from 25 feet to 15 feet and 4 inches for a gazebo at 15701 Southwest 51st Manor, authorizing the mayor, town administrator, and town attorney to execute any and all documents necessary to effectuate the intent of this resolution, providing for recordation and providing an effective date.
Mayor, the same rules apply in this procedure as I announced before. The applicant has the burden of proving by competent substantial evidence that it meets all of the criteria. This is for a variance, and the variance criteria are somewhat more particular than the last one you heard, which was a modification of a site plan. The variance criteria contemplate that there's something about the size, shape, and location of the property which would prevent the economic use of the property. The application cannot be based upon a self-made hardship. It must be a hardship arising from other circumstances. Economics are not a hardship for the purpose of granting or denying a variance. And I call your attention to the able report made by the planner's office on this item, wherein each of those things is reviewed.
Hey, Jeff, go ahead.
Okay, thank you. This variance application is for 15701 Southwest 51st Manor by Mr. Enrique Zamora, owner and applicant. And he's requesting to reduce the side setback from the required 25 feet to 10 feet 4 inches on the west side for a detached garage, and 15 feet 4 inches on the east side for a gazebo. This property is about 1,200 feet east of Dykes Road at the terminus of Southwest 51st Manor. A canal borders the east property line and separates the property from the town of Davie. A 30-foot driveway strip, which provides access to the single-family home north of the property, borders the entire west side of the property. It's a 1-acre property, including a 4,125 square foot portion of Southwest 51st Manor, which is a roadway easement. The property is zoned rural estates, which requires 1 net acre in lot area and 125 feet in width. The property exceeds the width requirement and is grandfathered, vested for a lot area that is less than 1 net acre due to the road easement. That pre-existed the change in the code that eliminated road easements from counting towards net lot area. The property is developed with a 3,932 square foot single-family residence, and the applicant's proposing to enhance the property by constructing a bedroom addition, which is not subject to this variance request, portico share addition, which is also not subject to this request, a pool, patio, paver driveways, a rear CBS wall, and then the 2 detached structures, which are the subject of this variance request. The proposed detached structures are 994 square feet for the garage and utility room attached to it, and 945 square feet for the gazebo, located in the rear of the property as well, that is proposed. The variance would, if granted, would provide an additional 24.3 feet of open area in between the 2 structures, as they would sandwich the pool. If the variances are granted, the space between the 2 proposed structures, it would be 24.3 feet if the variance is not granted, and 70 feet if the variance is granted. The applicant did provide, and I entered into the record with the town clerk, documents with signatures that are represented as letters of no objection from the neighbors on all sides within the town. And also in the backup are doctor's notes, or a doctor's note regarding the applicant's parents' health and their need to use the pool. I'm not going to go through the analysis, but Mr. Brady summarized the criteria. The written application as submitted does not provide competent substantial evidence supporting the request, but since this is a single-family home and it's a resident, sometimes these things they're not the type of polished applications you get when you have a developer with the resources to understand and address these criteria. Therefore, if the applicant can provide that competent substantial evidence tonight, you can approve the item finding that the applicant has shown by competent substantial evidence that he's met the requirements for granting a variance. You can table the item, seek information, or you can prove it with conditions such as those we've outlined in the staff report for cost recovery and expiration, which is a standard provision. Of course, if the applicant does not provide substantial competent evidence, then the council would be required to deny the application. With that, my presentation is complete, and I'll turn it over to the applicant if there are no questions of me.
Good evening.
Okay. Can I jump in on the front end of this real quick? I'm just curious. You happen to know how strict and how severe we are on items like this. And I'm assuming you made them well aware of that.
Yes, Mayor, I did.
Okay. But they choose to move forward anyway.
That's correct.
Okay.
Are there any disclosures to make, Mayor, on this particular item?
Not from me.
No.
Anyone else?
No.
No other disclosures from anyone else.
And once again, let me remind you, it takes a unanimity to pass the variance.
Okay. This takes 5, does it not?
5.
Okay. So, okay, no problem. I'll let Freddie go back and disclose.
Yeah, I want to say I did teach to the people on this variant.
Okay. All right. Okay, so anyhow, I'm guess the staff told you how very strict we are about things like this?
Yes.
I mean, I don't know anybody any stricter than we are, truthfully. And, you know, I really feel bad that you spent this money to come before us, because ultimately, just reading it and looking at it, it's a self-created hardship in my eyes.
Mayor, I think it would be better to let the applicant put on his case.
Okay.
And then
all right,
deliberate on those cases. And as the planner said, even though in the record right now, there may not be competent substantial evidence, there may, but there may not be, the applicant has this opportunity to present to you competent substantial evidence, which you would consider.
All right.
Well, I just wanted to address that my parents are getting older, and in the near future, I wanted to bring them home. They have some medical diagnosis, and I wanted to be able for them to have more space around the pool area, so they can, you know, be comfortable with the wheelchair if that's the case. Also, it's only 25, it's only 10 foot that I'm asking on the east side, and 15 foot on the left side, on the east side, which is, it makes a lot of difference to me from the 25 foot inside the house, inside the backyard. It makes a lot of difference for my family and my kids to be around the area. And, I mean, if we can make this happen, it will be better, you know, for all of us.
Council? Any public comment? Seeing no public comment is closed. Back to us.
I understand.
Was the applicant finished with his presentation?
I'm not sure. I was guessing it was. If not, I'll gladly give him more time.
Okay. All right.
Yeah,
I'll gladly give you more time if you need be.
no, I mean, I just wanted to address that it really makes a difference from inside. She can help me because she's the one who's doing the layout.
Go right ahead. Pronounce your
A
name.
little bit better there.
Can I talk? Okay. Good evening, everybody. Thank you so much. Okay,
You need to
wanna help-
pronounce your name first.
Oh, sorry. My name is Elizabeth Martinez. Sorry. I wanted to do this process because that property had too many square feet for utility easement around the property. He had the west side, the north, the east, at the front of the property had the utility easement. We can design but we can go to the heating. But anyway, we had a problem to the square feet. He wanted to have the parents on the house, but the space of the rear yard or the outside area is a little, no, it's a little shortly, but he want the garage and gazebo, and his parents need the pool area for recreation. This is the thing. And I want to show some layout. It's not too big. This is the residential house. Is I don't know. We need your help for that, please. I don't know.
I can show you the way it's gonna look. And
Yeah. Here.
this is the gazebo. We have a canal on the back. And this is the garage. So the 20 feet in that area, it makes a lot of difference for the wheelchairs and then
Are you picking that up?
Don't bring that.
You need to speak into the microphone so the record.
You can
pick
take
this
that
up.
out of that holder. You can pull that microphone out and hold it.
Okay, so what I was saying is it's 15 foot from the canal from the east side to the gazebo, and 10 foot from here. So basically, what I'm going to earn, the 25 foot that I'm asking, is for the walking area to be more comfortable, just in case that they need an extra or any special equipment.
Mayor, the graphic, or a copy of it anyway, should be entered into the record so that the clerk has the complete record.
Okay, so they have to leave that with us?
If they don't have a copy of it, that
Okay.
You can keep it.
has to go in.
Okay. I don't know that you all are understanding. We're understanding your position. And you're not by yourself. And there's a lot of people in this town have similar issues. Whether it's been their porte cochere out front, that they had to make it wider to keep the family out of the rain, pulling up to their front door. I mean, there's a million things. The dilemma is that this particular item is a self-created hardship. I mean, does anybody else see it any different than me?
That's what it is.
No, not at all.
I wish I can have 2 acres, but about the house, and that's going to be my retirement with my parents and my kids. I mean, that's for life.
Speak into the mic, please.
Can I jump in for?
Sure, go right ahead.
Yeah, you submitted a letter from a doctor, I believe, medical professional, that
Yes.
the pool would be a real health benefit?
Yes,
If that's correct. But this variance really has nothing to do with the pool. Right? Is that correct?
that is correct.
So you can put a biggest pool, you can put in the pool you want without having to go through this variance?
Yes,
Is that
yes,
correct?
but yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I just want to make sure.
I can't speak for my colleagues, but I can tell you that I believe that we think that you have the ability to shrink down what you want to do and still accomplish what you want.
Major, I did my research before I came here, and I did a lot of homework, and I did a lot of measurements. I didn't want to spend the money to come over here and to realize that this is what we needed to. I mean, it's not that I wish I can have more space, like I stated, but this is not the case. 25 foot from inside, it makes a lot of difference, not from the outside, and that's really what, I did my homework, and I mean, I measured every little corner so I can maximize my land, and that's what I'm here.
Gentlemen, ladies. Dee?
Why, I'm not understanding what the purpose of the gazebo is for the first place, and why that can't be scaled back and made smaller. Why do you need such a big gazebo? Could you make it smaller?
Well,
I mean-
I can make it smaller, but, I mean, we can, but, I don't know how to explain it the right way, but it doesn't fit in it's not going to be comfortable.
For how many people? I mean, are we talking, party people or just the family?
No, just the family members. I have two kids. They're 17 and 13. My parents are coming home with us, so.
Can I say something? Sorry.
Sure.
Go right ahead.
Okay, the thing is, no is the area to the gazebo to the garage. The thing is, in the middle of that building, they need the space, clear space, the pool and clear space around the pool. The gazebo is just 27 by 15. I don't know if we can cut it,
But it sounds like it's being focused around the pool area, and everybody wants a lot of area around their pool. I don't have a lot of area around my pool. And not that I couldn't do it, because it wouldn't impact in any way, shape, or form, because I have, 60 feet on this side and 60 feet on this side. But when you're limited in space, you're just limited in space. And you had talked about a wheelchair. Wheelchairs don't take up that much. You can go into any nursing home or whatever, and
No, I know.
there's a set amount, and as long as you're not, if you got 2 feet on one side and 2 feet on the other, so that you're not bumping walls, you should be good to go. I mean, this is a lot of square footage, and like our mayor has pointed out, to get big variances like this, if you were talking about building something and you're overhang or you're this or you're that's one thing. You still have to get permission from your neighbors for any kind of variance, which you have.
Right.
But it just seems like this is a lot. This is really a lot.
Like, I don't have the neighbors facing the east side. I have a canal there. And on the back, I have the driveway, and the house is further back. And on the other side, I have horses. So I don't have the neighbors around the house. So it is one time. This is my retirement. And
Can I jump in?
That's all I have
Go
to
right
say.
ahead, Gary.
Yeah, I understand what you're trying to do. If it was a foot on one side but basically it's both sides of the property, and you're cutting them in half, the right-of-way is in half. It's not like, it's really self-imposed. And it has nothing to do with the pool. We just established that a few minutes ago. I think this is a stretch. This is a phenomenal reach.
the easement is hurting me.
I really can't support
to
something
build.
like this. It's just too big.
Can we do one side instead, so I can have, something?
From my perspective, there is space there. You're just choosing to use the space that's in the easement rather than choosing the space. A lot of times folks will come before us and they have to redesign the whole house or their whole addition because they can't get that extra, as you're saying, 2 or 3 feet, right? And that we have a hard time with. This, I'm not an engineer, I haven't looked at the plans in detail, but there's a lot of space in the middle there where you don't have to hardly change anything, just push the 2 in more towards the middle, and you've got it covered. You don't even need to be in front of us. And so it's just, you have made the choice, and I understand why you're doing it, and I don't criticize you for what you're doing. You're doing it for your family, and that's to be admired. But you have made the choice to build it the way you decided to build it. Unfortunately, you're not allowed to build that way here. And you could just as easily make the choice to build the same size structure, push it in a little closer, and you can still do exactly what you're wanting to do. But in this case, there's no evidence to say that this is not something that you have just chosen to do because you wanted to build it that way, which, like I say, is, I'm not criticizing you,
And 25
while you're
foot
doing
makes
it.
a lot of difference from inside. And I have gone to every corner to measure, and
But what he's saying is you're getting the maximum for you, and you took it away from the easement, which, it is a town easement. It's an access. So you're choosing to use that as opposed to what you are legally allowed to use. So to move all those structures in, it does tighten it up. And everybody wants more space, more. It looks better. Aesthetically, it looks better. But again, like Councilmember Bright Cruz said, you chose to build it to those specs. That was you that did that. So I'm not in favor of this big variance.
That's why I impress so much on the front end about our staff educating you on this, because they know it front to back. They know how severe we are on this. And I'm just really surprised knowing that you needed a 5-0 vote. And from what they told you, that you would even attempt this. I mean, it's just, I can't tell the last time we approved anything like this. Can you guys?
No, if it had been redesigned before you come in here and you needed a couple of feet, that might have been something a little more doable. This is a lot of square footage that you're talking about taking, and,
if I
we've
can
all.
come back with a 10 foot, let's say.
That's a lot. When I said come back with a couple, I meant like a couple, maybe 2 feet from here and a couple feet from here. It might have been more doable, but when you're talking 15 feet, 10 feet, that's a lot of feet. If you took the time to take and sit down and measure every square inch out, then you know how much it is. You should know how much it is.
That's why I'm here, because it doesn't add up to, from inside and out, it does, from the outside, it's not hurting anybody, and the easement is hurting the inside. But from inside and out, if I can go a little bit wider, it will be more comfortable to live in.
Correct, but it is hurting the outside, and the reason it's hurting the outside is because we've already set the rules, and, the gears are in motion. We've done this for everybody that's come in here. We've tried to keep everything fair and above board, not fish of one and follow the other. Well, this guy claims this. It's very hard to separate and say, well, he's got a better case than him, or whatever. So if we stick by the rules, we can't get blamed for not playing fair. Then we're playing fair.
I understand, but keep in mind also that there's bigger lots, and you don't see this very often. And the reason that I'm in this situation is I only have an acre. So that's the.
And what's your lot coverage? 20% or 10?
20%,
20%.
I believe,
Less of the 20%.
20%.
It's 17.
Okay, so just let me give you a heads up in case you weren't told. Half the town is 10% you can build on the footprint, and the other half of the town you can build on 20% of your footprint. So the scenario is, what happens is the people that only have 10% ultimately end up having to go 2 stories, because you can't increase the footprint of 10%, but you can go up and increase your square footage. So anyhow, a lot of people don't realize that. They don't know it when they buy here. There's just a lot of other things in play here. So
The thing is, you need to keep your 20%, all of it. But the bottom line is, it was your decision to build that big and encroach on the easement and not take it from what is yours, technically.
Mayor, I don't want to anticipate
You'll jump in.
council's decision, but I remind you that the motion should be made in the positive, and if it's really to disapprove, then urge a negative vote.
Right.
Okay.
Go ahead, Steve. Come on.
I'm waiting.
I mean,
I'll make a motion to approve, but urging not to approve, whatever that means.
That's correct, believe it or not, the correct way.
Okay. You in a second, Dee?
I'll second it.
All right. Did we open up the public comment at all, or did we not?
We did.
Okay. Go ahead, Russell, call the question.
Councilmember Schroeder,
No.
Councilmember Jablonski,
No.
Councilmember Brighters,
No.
Vice Mayor Fisickelli,
No.
Mayor McKay.
No?
Motion does not pass.
Thank you.
Sorry.
Oh my God, I feel like such a bad guy.
Next item.
That is the end of the quasi judicial hearing.
All
Mayor,
right. If I could, Russell, pass it over to you for Waste Pro Vice President.
Actually, Mayor,
Yeah.
actually, if I may, I know we've had some issues with the solid waste and the bulk transition, so I know there are residents here who want to speak on it tonight. I know that I've had, and staff has had some back and forth with council members, so I've taken the liberty of inviting Russell Mackey, the Vice President of Waste Pro, and he's got some other representatives with him so that he could be here tonight. And if it's okay with you, Mayor, I'd like to give him the opportunity to address the council and speak about the transition, allow you the opportunity to ask quick questions or voice your concerns, and open it to the public as you see fit.
Come on up, Russell.
You know we're going to beat you up, right?
He knows.
I can take it. Good evening, Russell Mackey.
He's got big shoulders.
Regional Vice President, Waste Pro of Florida, 17302 Pines Boulevard. I also have Sean Arias, who's our local division manager, Tim Bowers, the municipal liaison, and David Perez, who is the dedicated commercial business rep that goes out. To talk about the transition and really, when I stood before you guys, before the award, you never know, and I'm not going to blame it on Irma, but that's just a huge wrench in the plans of the transition. We did roll out October 1st for the garbage and recycling, and we also collected the hard bulk debris that came from homes, cardboard boxes and that, and really had a very good first couple of months coming out of that. It wasn't until we reinstated the yard waste portion of the routes that was the middle of December. So while it might seem like our company's been in the town for 4 months, we're really, those new drivers just started those routes, and they've only seen those routes 2 cycles, because we do it every other week, so we've been doing it for about 30 days. When we did begin, and I'm a communicator, I like to just tell you, please, I'm not trying to make a bunch of excuses, I'm trying to give you, the explanation of what occurred, and then I'll also talk about, the proactive things that we're doing to get it in line. But when we did, roll out, there was a lot of supplemental debris still left behind from the storm. And then there's also the new regulations that were put in place by the virtue of the new agreement that we went through. And trying to walk through those and enforce those early on just led to some difficulties. Taking a portion of the pile and leaving a portion behind is just never a good thing. I mean, people, what are they picking and choosing? Why did they leave some of it behind? And we need to communicate. Your staff has been excellent. I think we've got a really good plan to educate, to talk about how we're going to tag the pile and then come back and pick it up in its entirety. So there's no, pick up the 12 yards and leave the overage behind. But as of today, every stick and branch of yard waste in the town through those 2 passes has been completed by us. We brought in a bunch of extra equipment. part of the delay was we ordered trucks. We always had the intention of doing it with our own trucks and our own people. But as you can imagine, again, not to blame Irma, but there were those claw-type trucks when that storm hit in Houston and then followed up by Irma's devastation here. There was just a back order on those vehicles. So those vehicles didn't arrive until, just last week. And we need to go out and get supplemental contractors. You can never control supplemental contractors like you can control yourself, and that leads to not having enough equipment and the delays that have occurred. But we're fully staffed. We've got a good plan to come out, and there are going to be some difficulties with residents understanding the new system, and I think we all understood that going into it. And as I committed to you back then, we're not just going to draw the line in the sand and be difficult. We're here to work with the residents, but we really do need to enforce those provisions of the agreement, because that's basically what our game plan was based on that. When you come out on a street, and there are streets in this town where you have 100 yards of debris out in front of a home, and that takes a truck all day long to do that one home. And that's really, it's hard to contemplate that. When we go out and pick up garbage, we know there's going to be 1,200 homes, and we know how long it's going to take to pick those up, even if everybody puts it out. You can't guess how many people are going to have a 100-yard pile out like that. So that's the need to really tag, enforce, and come back with supplemental equipment. We need to finish the route in its entirety. All the people that have done it right should get service on the day. The people that are over and above, they should still get service, but it should be, here, your pile's out wrong, we're coming back to get it, we're going to pick it all up, there's going to be X number of charge, unless you make other arrangements. So we're at the point that we can do that now. We're going to roll forward. All of the oversized piles that we've picked up over the last 3 weeks have been at our own expense, again, because we were delayed. We felt, to try to enforce the rules as we were deficient would not be a, really smart thing to do. So we went through the city and completed the sweep, and I think we're ready to move forward. We will be adding a dedicated supervisor to that bulk side of things, the bulk yard waste, to help with this communication, to help with the tagging. I think that's probably the only other missing ingredient of what we have, but as I stood before you 6 months ago, I feel just as confident now that everything that we said to you that night is what's going to be, what you can expect from us. Our local supervisor, Tom Lassiter, couldn't be here. He had a family engagement that he needed to be at, but he's in the town and he understands the expectations. Your manager has been very clear with me, the mayor. We had a chance to have a conversation. You were very clear of the expectation. We understand it loud and clear. We just don't want you to think that there was nothing being done as these things had unfolded. A little bit of Murphy's Law that caught up as a result of Irma and the things that have come from that. But certainly not trying to lessen the magnitude of some of the issues that have happened in the last couple of weeks. The cleanliness of cleaning up and leaving scattered debris, those are things we really need to focus on. Finishing the routes on the day, things we need to focus on, and you have our commitment to do so. So, yes, anything I can answer or clear up?
Steve, go ahead.
Yeah.
You want to go first?
Go ahead, you're cuter. Go ahead.
I wanted to go first.
You want to go first? Well,
All right, I'll go first.
Hold on one
If
second.
you mind.
Black jacket.
Go ahead, Steve.
So as we are here tonight, the drivers that are going to be going around the town, are they all, no, I'm taking a little different tack, but you're welcome. Are they all your employees? Are there any subcontractors still out there working the town?
There'll still be 3 dedicated crews will be our crews, and those crews will have, our camera systems on the trucks, the GPS, so we'll be able to show you in real time. Just because of the unknown of these situations, again, where the supplemental, you could have a couple of 100-yard piles out in the town. We do have a couple of subcontractors that are ready to go because we need to finish the route on the day. So we'd like to do it all in-house, but we're sort of reserving the right to run an extra crew out there if need be.
Could I
So-
just say one
Yeah,
thing?
yeah, go ahead.
If you come across a pile that has 200 yards out, I want you to call me,
Okay,
because I want to see it.
yeah.
Because I have not seen that. And you also talked about the cameras on there, so you're ready to get us if we violate. I just want you to know that we have stuff in place, so that is kind of a two-way street. All those trucks are supposed to carry stuff if they leak hydraulic fuel. You should come down my street, huh, Sean? Sean knows, he was there. It's a mess. And the guy is just, it's pouring out, so I don't know if there's a training you put these men through, and say, this is what I want, this is what you should do, this is what you should not do. But if my street gets any worse than what it is, I'm going to have it redone again.
Yeah, absolutely, I agree with you. Just to address two of those things, we got notice on, I think, December 11th that the routes were reinstated December 14th. And not that was by design by anybody, but you don't really have the ability to go through your normal set of training. It was us scrambling at the last minute to get those routes covered. The truck, coincidentally enough, that on your street was a brand-new vehicle that had a manufacturer defect. You don't expect a brand-new truck off the lot to just have an issue like it did. So I do apologize. I mean, obviously, again, it's our responsibility. And the training that you talk about, it's something we take very, very seriously. I'd love to have you come by, and we have a training room and, 2 dedicated training employees that's all they do is train new hires and talk about customer service, the maintenance part of the things you should, trying not to leave the carts in the middle of the driveway, all these things that make the customer experience better. So we do have that. Does it work 100% of the time? Absolutely not. So that's something we can always get better at, and we understand your concern.
Sorry, Steve.
That's okay. So if we don't have any of those unusual large piles, are you saying that your employees would cover the entire town, that those other ones are just there, or is there still a mixture on a normal run?
Right now, we're keeping one on call, one subcontractor on call. Say if we had to run him, 75% of the routes would be with our vehicles. We believe that all 3 of our trucks should be able to finish it. When you do the numbers, each zone has about 400 homes in it. And when if you figure every home has an average of 6 yards out, the 3 trucks should be able to cover that amount of yardage. Where there are these big piles, I think, it would do us good to take pictures and distribute to all you, because there's absolutely gigantic piles in certain areas. There's a lot of streets you go down, and it's normal set out as well. So I'm not going to just hide behind that as the only reason, but that is what causes when you lose that truck for a day picking up one pile. We just can't have that occur and keep a consistent schedule. And I think that's what the town was trying to get away from.
Right. So, I mean, I think that is one of the key elements of providing good service, is to have your employees do the service and have consistency of those same employees servicing the same areas, so they get to know those areas and do it well. One of the biggest frustrations out west, and it happens on 208 and 210, is that it's at the end of the route. There's not a lot of homes out there. It's at the end of the route. And what happens is the truck is getting full by the time it gets out there. And there is a tendency is not a strong enough word. There's consistency in that gets picked up the following day. Well, they're getting paid, they're paying the same taxes everybody else is. They got the same assessment everybody else is. They're putting their debris out. And I'm not even talking about bulk debris. I'm just talking about regular garbage and recycle. And consistently, it's not picked up on the right day. Consistently, it's picked up on the day after. And this has been going on, to your defense, this has been going on well before you all arrived, but it's going on still now. And so it needs to stop. I don't know if we need to, maybe every other time start from the other side of town or something, or that other side of that zone. But those people can't, they need to have it picked up the same day everybody else is.
Absolutely. And we came into this understanding, and committing to it would be picked up on the day. And again, I'm not trying to lessen, but we've only had 2 cycles through the bulk. And in any transition, you generally get a couple shots at it. The driver just even knowing the area, knowing what areas he can come in without having to make a U-turn at the end of the street. You learn those things once you're in the truck, out on the route. So we'll get better and quicker from there. But generally on garbage and recycling, you want to start in the same spot and end in the same spot because people get really used to, even though you're supposed to have it out by 7 a.m., when people are not used to seeing the truck until 10 o'clock, they drag it out when they're going to work at 9. And if you all of a sudden start at 7 a.m. in that area, you're going to have a lot of people that bring it out afterwards. Bulk or yard waste generally has to be out at the curb. I don't think there's people doing yard waste work the morning that you're coming through. So, we could actually look at flipping the zones, starting on one side of the zone 1 week and starting on the other side on the next week. Again,
whatever it takes. My goal is, I think you make a good point. Consistency there in people's expectations is always good. My point is that it needs to be picked up on the day it's supposed to be picked up.
Absolutely.
Not the next day.
Agreed and understood.
Maybe you would like to write something, put it in our newsletter, keep people up to speed. Don't forget, this is the way we do it. This is what you should do. People sometimes need to hear it over and over and over again. So, like I said, you're always willing, or you're able to always put something in the newsletter. If you'd like to write something, I'm sure you could talk to Andy and we would get it in there.
Well, absolutely taking advantage of that. Thank you.
My turn?
Yeah.
Yes?
Go ahead.
Outstanding. How you doing? Thank you for coming.
Thank you
Especially
for having
considering
me.
you know what you're walking into.
Yes.
We've got some problems, and we need to move forward with them, and we need to get them fixed. You're our guys, okay? The garbage pickup has been pretty bad across town, and particularly in my neighborhood. A lot of complaints, residents are complaining to me, and I'm talking about regular pickup and recycling.
Yep.
One of the residents made a comment the other day. He says, I never have to worry about what day of the week it is. I know when it's recycling because I can see the debris on the side of the road. I mean, that's obviously a sarcastic and flippant comment that he made to his representative, meaning me. But there is some truth to that element. So we've got some work to do on that. Bulk, I'm not going to beat you to death on the bulk. It's basically what everybody said. It's the next day. It's this. It's that. And we're making this big clean sweep of the town to, I guess, start from zero. Is that going to be included in our overall calculations when we do the true up here coming up? Or you mentioned hundreds of cubic yards earlier in a statement on it. Is that part of that, or is that not part of that?
Well, yeah, any debris that we would collect at the curb and dump that's generated in the town, we'd put that towards your generation rate of what was generated in the town.
All right, because you were mentioning multiple things, and there's the penalty phase to the homeowners. I consider it a penalty. If they put out too much, it might be a self-imposed kind of thing. But where we come down to where we start measuring it all. The work needs, the service needs an improvement on all three aspects: the regular garbage pickup, the recycling, and of course the bulk, which just recently started. Okay, but the regular garbage and the recycling, I wanted to kind of focus on that, and that is, it's not done in a very timely manner, and it's done haphazardly, and I'm getting a lot of complaints and pictures from residents that, and I'm forwarding them to administration as I get them, and we've had the crews come back out and all that, but I really, from a perspective of a council member, I really sold the community on this new contract and your services, and you're the largest in the state of Florida, and I'm looking a little silly right now. In fact, I'm looking a lot silly, and I'm not happy about that. So you're our guys. We need to move forward. You guys need to improve your service, the care, customer care that you mentioned, where trash cans are not in the middle of the road, they're not knocked over, debris isn't up and down the roadways, that is flown out of the trucks or haphazardly, removed. I see it on my street. I live on the main street in Rolling Oaks in Mather. I see it. A lot of debris and the trucks down the road. So I kind of know where it was, where it's coming from, things of that nature. And so I would like for you guys to really kind of focus on that, on the cleanup efforts. When the pile or the trash area at a home got more debris right around the trash can than what was there before the trash can went out, that's usually not a good sign. So I'm telling you where the best way to say this, I'm trying to tell the doctor where it hurts right now.
Yeah.
Okay, and hopefully you'll take it constructively. I don't want to beat you up over it, but we need it solved,
Yes, sir.
as far as that goes. And Andy, we had talked earlier about the FEMA and the pickup and the tonnage and all that. Can you elaborate a little bit on it? We talked about the big clean sweep, and what was that going to be part of the overall comprehensive? I'm kind of hazy.
Councilman, I'm not sure what you're asking me.
Okay.
But we're obviously transitioning from the FEMA sweeps and
Yeah.
those cleanups to our normal bulk.
Okay.
And that was one of the things that's created a problem.
Okay.
And we're trying to learn on the fly as we do that.
Right.
Because we've tried to convert from put all your garbage out, all your bulk trash, however many yards you have. It didn't matter when you put it out there. It was out there till we collected it. We're trying to reinstitute those rules of limits, the days that that the bulk trash goes out. So it is a transition for our residents again. And so we're trying to work through that, and we're trying to work through that with Waste Pro as best we can.
Okay. Are we paying extra for the subcontractors that you need to do that, or is that just part of our regular contract?
No, that's something that we've absorbed the cost.
You're absorbing that
Yes.
cost. Okay. I just wanted to hear that on the record.
Yeah.
For that.
You got me.
All right. Anyone else? Dee?
We're going to get through this.
We are.
We're definitely going to get through this.
I was just watching the movie Armageddon. I don't know if you've ever seen it, where the guy's like, I've never missed a depth drilling a hole. I hate to seem so cavalier and confident in that, but I've never missed the depth, picking up a garbage contract, and we'll get it right for you. It's a transition. You're a very unique town.
Oh, you haven't seen nothing yet.
And it comes with, it's unique set of circumstances. And as much as you think that you're prepared for it, you don't really learn about it until you get that first play in the game. So we're working through it. I assure you, we're going to get to a level that you're going to be satisfied with.
The gentleman that actually drove the truck that was leaking all the hydraulic fluid, I went out and I actually spoke to him, and I said, you're leaking? He goes, yeah. I said, do you realize by letting all this hydraulic fluid leak out of this truck, you could cause some severe damage to the truck itself? I said, the owners are not going to be happy about this.
And we need the feedback on that. I don't know if you have used Track Easy. But I recommend, and I know your residents want to come to you and give you the issues, but it puts a record, a time stamp, and I see all of those. So, I see how many issues we have in a week, a month, and it helps me keep my finger on the pulse. And when there's no issues in that system, I think everything's, pretty much status quo. It's going good, and there's no issues. So if we can get those into there, hopefully we don't have a reason to use it, because there's no reason to complain. But it really does help identify. We can pin out, if they're coming from, the concentration of issues are coming from a certain street area. There's generally a mitigating circumstance that causes. But we're confident that we'll move forward, we'll continue to communicate, and we'll be accessible to you till we get this to a point that you're satisfied with it.
Yeah, if I can interject, don't misunderstand. You're our guys. We want this has got to work for both of us.
Absolutely.
In order to, to move forward. And we want you to do a good job because it's where we live, So we have common goals here.
Yes, we do.
Yeah, let me ask you a question. Sometimes we're going to have stuff, it's going to be our responsibility. Do you have provisions for us, some number we can call? Does our town hall know? Say I have a lot of stuff that needs to be, it's my responsibility. I need to get to somebody to do it. Are you guys available for that?
Yes, absolutely.
Do we have that information in our town?
Yeah, I'll make sure that you have that, the number to call and everything.
Okay, thank you.
You can, again, it's available to your homeowners, the Track Easy website. They could go right in and put a request, hey, I've got more than normal, and that'll immediately go to the supervisor. The supervisor will give them a quote to remove that extra overabundance. So it's a good system to use, I know. And again, you can call, use the telephone, we answer and do that the same way. Just for my own selfish purposes, try to get everything into that system.
Mayor, if I may jump in here for just a moment. Russell has called up, you'll see on the LCD monitors, and I know he just turned on the overhead projectors. That's a section of the town website homepage. If you look down on the left-hand side, about 2/3 of the way down, there's the blue and green, the Waste Pro Contact Us. That's right there on our homepage, makes it very easy for residents with trash issues. And obviously, they're welcome to continue to call Town Hall, but residents can go right on and file right in that system that Russell was just referring to, that crosses his desk and comes to his attention, among others, at Waste Pro.
Okay. Anyone else? We good?
You want to open up to the...
You want public comment? Come on up for public comment.
I have a few questions.
No problem.
Oh, I'm not going to scream or yell. Oh, that's good. It don't get you anywhere sometimes. But my question is that when we had the other service, for a 6-jar container, I was paying $180 a month. I got no problem with the service. They always were there when they say they were going to be, sometimes a little late, but they were there. I have no problem with any service as long as they provide the same quality, with the same income. My problem now is that I got a bill for the first time for $400 and some $30 or $60, I forgot the amount. The thing that really upsets me even more than that is I got an additional $30 charge for a franchise. What is that charge for? I had to pay for your franchise too? The service didn't improve. Actually, they missed my place about 3 times. It's okay. So my question, I call the company that used to do it, Waste Management. They said they were not chosen for this, even though I said, well, whatever. So when I called this company, I spoke to Mr. Perez, I believe. And I questioned the reason why such a high price on the same service, and said they have no choice in the matter. The councilman decided on that price. So my question to you is, why did you decide that I should pay $460 for the same type of service I got before? That's a 170% increase, I believe. I didn't sign any papers. Mine is a private property. And why is it that I'm being told that I cannot use anybody else for service to pick up my trash? So, the last time I checked, I was in the United States, where there is a democracy and a liberty to choose who you want to have service you. I do not understand why this town is deciding for me what is good or bad for whoever I want to choose to serve my property. And that's the question I have is, why do I have to pay so much money for the same type of service? What is the reason for it?
Is that a Marty question?
Actually, Mayor, I can touch on that if you want.
Go ahead.
When we went out, when we competitively bid the solid waste collection contract, Waste Management, who is subcontracted from LGL, had been doing the residential collections as well as the commercial collections. When a council awarded the new contract to Waste Pro, that included the commercial collections. Collections on, the pricing on the commercial was lower before, it was lower, but part of the contract that was competitively bid had a higher rate for commercial collections. So I understand the residents' issue here, but the contract that the town awarded was to Waste Pro, was the franchise rights to collect the entire town, commercial and residential, and the commercial rates are undoubtedly, they are higher than they were. I don't have an answer for that, other than it was competitively bid and awarded to Waste Pro.
Well, a minute, if I might say one more thing. I called Waste Management because I wanted to get the service back and said, will you do it back? And actually they offered to do it cheaper. So I don't know where you're coming with these commercial rates, but it looks like you guys contracted a service and you still don't know why you had to charge so much. And that's a very simple question. Why is it that for the same service, it went up 170%? And I didn't sign up for it. And why is it that if I want to use somebody else, you're telling me that I can? Now, that's easy questions to us to answer. So I like
let
to have an answer.
me give a shot at answering those questions. It may not be the answers you want to hear, okay? But
Any
you know,
answer is
I'll
good.
try and be as honest, you know, as I'll be as honest as I possibly can. I'm not going to hide,
Thank you.
pull any punches or anything. So, as Andy was saying, when these contracts are put in front of us, we don't say, this is the price you have to pay. Matter of fact, it's illegal for us to do that. It has to be an open bid, and they bid the contract, okay? And it comes to us the way they choose to bid it. However, one of the things that we provide for them is that they come in with a guarantee that says, okay, you're going to service our entire town. We won't subcontract any of it to anybody else. You are going to service our entire town. And for that, when they understand that they're going to service the entire town, then they can put together their most competitive bid for us. If we said to them, listen, you can come to us with a price, and if some of the residents want to accept that price, they can accept that price. If some of them want to just let their garbage pile up, but they don't have to pay for it, they can do that. If some of them want to go out and they want to hire somebody else, they can do that. Well, then what would happen is the contract that would come back for the vast majority of the residents would be much higher, because now the company doesn't know really how much volume they're going to have, right? So we go into it telling them that they have the town locked up. And that's why, to answer your question, that's why you can't go to Waste Management or somebody else. It's because it benefits the town as a whole. In this particular case, it does not benefit you as an individual, but it does benefit the town as a whole. And I apologize that you're, having to pay more. And then the other side is that, like I said, they come to us with the contract, a bid, and we choose among all the bids that they come.
I understand contracts. And I know that it's a bulk price.
Yeah,
You go by the bulk price, it's one figure, $1 million, $2 million, $100 million, and from there, then they decide how to split it up and get the money.
That's correct.
However, I'm asking the question again. If you get hit with a 170% increase on a service that you have had for last few years. And there is no reason for it other than the fact that it's a new company, and you just get a bill for that amount of money. What will you do? Well, you're gonna set it? If somebody, why shouldn't homeowners pay that money? Why is it that I had to pay $460? I still don't have that answer. Is the lowest bid? How come before I was paying less?
Because the
Mayor?
rate is higher.
Mayor, there's two points I just want to add to the discussion.
Go right ahead.
One is, when we went out through the competitive bid process, Waste Management declined to bid on the town's business. So whatever conversation you had with them, they did not bid on the town's work. The second is, our last contract, which was with LGL and Waste Management was serving, was underpriced by the vendor substantially.
Yes.
And so the pricing that we're at now is actually competitive with where the town was back in 2012.
Okay.
So you did have the benefit of 5 years of actually being underpriced, but we're really back to where we were previously.
Correct.
All right, so in other words, I cannot have somebody else service my property, even though it's private property.
No, it's a franchise.
And that's legal. You sure? I
But-
hope so.
But you
Yeah.
could alleviate it. You could choose not to have a container or have it picked up at all. You could dispose of it yourself.
Yes.
Yeah, yeah.
So I can do that.
I mean, well, I'm not
Hmm?
sure that.
Yeah, so your property
can.
still has to pay the fee, but you can still choose to dump
But
it.
if they're not generating anything and they want to get rid of it themselves, not everybody's going to opt to that. If someone complains about it,
Yeah.
I'm not willing to pay
the franchise.
that kind of price for the same service I had.
That's like a-
When I came earlier before to the city, I was told that they gave us those prices to the commercial because homeowners were putting too much trash, and that's why they had to make up the money somewhere. I think that's wrong. Whether it's true or not, it seems like every time I talk to somebody, it's a whole different story. Everybody has a different explanation of why. But I still don't have a real reason of why it's 170% increase. And I don't believe for a moment that other companies, they were so underbid that they went this low for years without going under. So no, that's,
Everything is on the web. It's all tangible to everybody. I mean, if you really wanted to look at it,
okay.
I'm sure that the town could, accommodate you on that, but we do know that it came, we had it for quite a few years, it was way under, so we all benefited by that.
All right.
So how much are you
This has
paying?
gone on long
How
enough.
much
I'm
is
gonna
your
shut this
service
down.
now?
Pardon?
How much is your bill a month? How much is your service now as a homeowner? Is it different than before?
Everybody went up.
How
Ours
much?
went up.
I mean, that's easy to know. You
Yeah,
pay the
yeah.
bills.
It's public comment.
We're going to end this, so we're going to shut this down.
Okay,
We're not
so-
going to gain anything.
At the end of the day, can I just not have the service? Or do
I don't know the
This is
answer to
something-
that.
This is something that the town administrator is going to look into, I believe. Yep. He will look into that.
The administration, Marty Care and Finance and whatnot will meet with you.
Will that be tomorrow?
I don't know. When can you guys meet with him? Probably not till next week. Tomorrow's Friday. They'll set something up with you tomorrow for next week.
So my assistant's name is Danielle. If
Danielle?
you call Danielle tomorrow, she'll set up an appointment,
Okay,
and we'll get together, okay?
sounds good. Thank you.
Okay. My street, and I didn't get it picked up.
Noah Hollingsworth.
I know, all right.
I keep hearing about, the garbage is a little bit late, a little bit this. On 199th Avenue, specific in-case point, Yesterday was the first day they had both garbage and recycles picked up on Wednesday, which is the day they're supposed to pick up.
It's a big thing.
And they've been doing this since October. You'd think they'd learn how to pick up garbage. Bulk is a little different. We'll talk about that in a second. But the cans are scattered all over the streets. So you do this going down the street. Cans are tipped over. Garbage in the street, garbage on the swales. They're totally incompetent on all levels whatsoever for garbage and recycle. I watched half of the recycles hit the street, and they left them there. Go down to the next one. Or the driver gets out, grabs one can, brings it down, and then the gentleman grabs that can since it's going to the next house, which is 150 feet down the road, and the truck hauls ass past it, and he's dragging the can, and then when he gets there, he lets it go, and it goes bouncing into the yard. Totally and completely incompetent on all levels. There is no training whatsoever. It's amazing they even have driver's licenses. Someone ought to check that. Now let's talk about bulk. The last 2 times, Waste Pro trucks have shown up in my front yard. We're digging a foxhole. And today they took another 6 inches. He drops the bucket straight down free fall, and whatever it hits, that's what he picks up. Hey, palm fronds in the street, no problem. Pieces of wood that fly off as he's swinging it around, no problem. I don't have to pick that up. Totally and completely incompetent. And I stack it out pretty neat. You can ask the code enforcement if you want to know about that. Anyway, so I consider this group total and completely incompetent on all levels whatsoever. They need to be retrained, and I understand that there is now penalties in place, and I'd like you to start nailing them to the cross with them. Thank you.
Jim Lasky. I came in the tail end of that conversation about the commercial gentleman that was getting nailed for a 170% increase. Well, you guys got to be a little more fair than that. That's pretty rough on a guy. You're expecting a commercial guy in this town to pay more taxes someplace else than you are at the garbage dump, and you don't get a benefit of that, I don't believe. But in this case, you're just pocketing the extra money. I guess that's the benefit. But why don't you consider just averaging it out and give them a rebate back for getting screwed? All right, so if the guy prices the contract so off, because you guys probably wouldn't feel so sorry for a guy in business like a lot of other cities and towns do, down where my business is, they got an air compressor tax. So if you got an air compressor, it's $150 a year for some guy to come out and look at the air compressor, and then next year another $150. This is that kind of crap. This is not good for little business guys. If he is legitimately a business in this town, you shouldn't rip him off for this kind of additional waste. If the waste is all equal, if it's all the same waste as front of my house and is front of his business, give him a rebate back, equalize it out. You don't have to even touch the contract. Isn't that a good idea?
Bob Hartman, 5441 Southwest 198th Terrace. I could go through horror stories because I've had my own. Somebody sent me pictures that I think somebody else referred to over in Rolling Oaks, Gary. I'm sure you got those same pictures. I I do recall one of the reasons why our rate went up, and I think it was discussed when the contracts were being approved, and that was that we've put a lot of teeth in the contract. And if we're going to hold their feet to the fire on this, well, you know what, they're going to have to charge us a little bit more. Are we going after them for liquidated damages? I mean, this contract, to Newell's point, started in October. Is there a 3-month grace period where we don't use those teeth, or is this at our discretion? Because they left my street a mess not this time, 2 times ago, and he's right. The gentleman from Waste Pro is right. They're moving the bucket so fast to stay up that as the clamshells flying from the bulk pile to the truck, stuff's flying out. Kathy Sullivan and Brandy Underhill had big piles of junk in the road. And it's clearly because the guy's working faster than he should. You know, my issues, they picked up half my bulk pile the other day. I didn't have 24 yards out. I didn't have 12 yards out. And they picked up half the pile. Another neighbor down the street put out 2 very nice, neat piles. They picked up one and left the other. I can't explain any of this. But the point behind the teeth was to enforce them and get their attention. When do we start? Or have we already? Thank you.
Debbie Green, 5201 Southwest 199th Avenue. Just one other point that I don't know that anyone else has an issue or not, but there's times where they're picking up garbage or recycling, not sure which one, at 6:30 in the morning. I don't know if our streets, I don't know if they also do the Pine side of 199th, because it's on that side also at 6:30 in the morning. So just wanted to share that.
Bill Sunday, 4825 Southwest 170th Avenue. Number one, on the price, I know my tax bill, bulk waste management, or bulk tax on it doubled from my bill from last year. So, you know, there's close to, I guess, 100% difference. And they said the Waste Pro started their contract back in October, and he just mentioned that they just got a new truck December 15th. So are we going to get a rebate on 3 months of not having bulk pickup when FEMA was actually doing the bulk pickup on our bills? And that's all I have to say.
Sandra Farah, Mustang Trail, Sunshine Ranches, Southwest Ranches. Okay. I'm not a relative. I didn't speak to anybody before this, but I'm going to give a positive feedback because I think, and I based on my experience, I think that you guys have done a great job. I'm on Mustang Trail in the middle. I'm not in way out west. I think they have had a really hard time. Nobody's, you know what I mean? I think our expectations are very high. We want everything, and we want it cheap, and we want it fast, and we want no damage to the swales and the canal banks. And I just think that I feel for you guys, and I know we're paying and everything, but I think we need to be just a little bit understanding as well of the transition period. The other thing is, I do think the whole hurricane made it extremely difficult. That was just the worst possible timing. And the town has done a great job of communicating. I do not know why people don't seem to get them, whether they don't hear, or there's renters, or I don't understand. I think you guys have done a great job of trying to communicate the changes. And I think until you make people pay, they will not abide by the rules, either on the resident side or the contractor side. Also, I'm a bit confused about the whole thing with the commercial. I thought we weren't supposed to be picking up from commercial properties, or do they get a separate rate? Oh, okay. Well, that's different. The other thing is, I think we have a very generous bulk waste service in terms of the service that's provided to residents. Some people, am I good for time? Yeah. I particularly don't like to see a lot of stuff out on my front yard, so I tend to pave to have it removed. But for people who maybe just, they can't afford that, but still, it's a very generous service. And I just think we need to be cognizant of that too without having to pay double and triple. I had some few other things, but I think I'll just leave it at that and just to give a positive side. Thank you.
Am I supposed to announce my name and everything? This is my first rodeo.
Name and address.
Robert Sirota, 16691 Southwest 49th Street, Bob McFarlane Boulevard. You guys are doing an awesome job. I had an experience a few weeks ago where one of the garbage guys, he saw a garbage can like 60, 70 feet up my driveway by my garage. And he pointed, I happened to be in my front yard, and he was like, hey, did you forget to bring that down? And I was like, oh, yeah. The guy ran up my driveway, grabbed the garbage can, ran all the way back down to the street, and took care of it. And the crews on the trucks are awesome. They talk to me all the time. The people we had before was a guy that came by in a truck with a mechanical arm, and he sat in a little air-conditioned cab, and you never spoke to him.
You gotta
Not
stop
that I'm
giving him
desperate
beer,
to talk
Robert.
to people. But anyway, I even said this to Dee and Andy a few weeks ago. I'm really happy with the garbage.
Yeah, he did.
So everything's good.
That's it. Russell, where is he? Russell's gone. Oh.
Obviously, doesn't feel good to hear bad. Good to hear the good, but we take it seriously. It's not falling on deaf ears. The sloppiness things that do occur, those are things that can be fixed. And we will certainly focus on the commercial. One thing I just reporting facts here, not giving an opinion. There's 32 municipalities in Broward County. 30 municipalities have closed franchises on the commercial. Your commercial rate is right in line with, and I know towns don't like to be compared to each other, but Miramar, Cooper City, Pembroke Pines, Weston, Southwest, all the surrounding communities pay right in line with the commercial rate that's set in your agreement. So it really was a product of a rate that was unreasonable, that has normalized itself in terms of what we bid, and we were the low bidder. So the just things that just like to try to, it's not us out there saying, hey, let's get rich on the commercial guy. We put in a rate that made sense for us. So, and we were the low bid. But we hear you. We'll be out there. I'll leave my personal number. I mean, I'm an owner in this company too, not just that I'm saying, hey, pat me on the back, but I could send Tim and Sean here and say, hey, go take the bullets. But I come here myself because I do care about the service. I care about my reputation. I care about what I say to people, making sure it comes true. So I'm not running away from it, and I'll be here. You all have my personal number. If you don't, I'll make sure the town has it. Anytime you need to call me directly, I'm available to you. Thank you.
Anyone else?
That's it.
No one else?
Nope.
No, we're good.
Okay. Russell, we're good? Public comment? Okay. Lucky us. Yeah.
Mayor, I think we invited Mr. Mackey to come up and speak, but I don't believe we've covered the full public comment section, so I don't know if you want to open it up for public comment, just general public comment, to see if there's any other speakers.
I don't care. I thought we'd open it up to the public, but I'll open it.
We didn't do the formal public comment as part of the agenda. What we had was Russell Mackey came up to talk about the trash-related issues, and we opened that to the public. So I think many members of the public that were here who signed up to speak wanted to speak on that issue. So I believe that they've had that opportunity, Mayor. But for any residents who are here who wanted to sign up to speak on a different topic, you may want to give them that opportunity now.
All right. Anyone want to speak publicly regarding this? No.
Just public comment. Do we have any cards in?
Public comment in general.
The cards that I had in were Bob Hartman, the gentleman that spoke from Just Perfect Landscaping, Elizabeth Martinez, I believe. Is there an Elizabeth Martinez here? Oh, she was here from the variance, and then Newell. So that's it. That's the only.
All right, so just,
Oh, you have another one? There's a late entry from Debbie? Yeah. Okay, so you want to speak? Okay. Oh, okay, sure. Just let me have it back. Sure. No problem.
so just run through the cards.
Go ahead, Mr. Bob.
Bob Hartman, 5441 Southwest 198th Terrace. If you guys don't mind, based on the topic I'm talking about, I'd like to talk to the audience.
Go right ahead.
Thank you. I need to lay out my papers, my crutches. You may have heard last month that Councilmember Cruz announced his retirement for next November. I've known Steve since we formed this town. During his 12 years in office?
12 years.
During his 12 years in office, he served the town superbly and made a significant difference in our community. Please give Councilmember Cruz a hand for his time and participation. Done a great job. As I said, my name's Bob Hartman, and I'm running for his seat. I'd like your vote in November. Here's some of my background and why I'd like your vote. As a resident of the town for over 25 years, I've raised my kids here. My wife and I have raised our kids here, and we have seen a lot of change. When we bought our property 30 years ago, this was the country. This was very rural. We were the 12th house of 40 on our street. So things have changed, and we've seen it all change over the years. As things progressed towards becoming a town, I was a leader as part of the Southwest Ranches umbrella group. That was when all the HOAs came together, and we tried to form the town. My role was I was the project manager and the spokesman in the beginning. I helped the group get organized and start moving forward. It's a long time ago. It feels even longer ago. 18 years ago. As far as the town is concerned, the first role I played, I believe, was as the chair of the Charter Revision Committee. The town's charter is like its constitution. It says how the town operates from a council standpoint, the government, etc. It's our constitution. We revised it back in 10. As well, I've been on the Comprehensive Planning and Advisory Board, where's Newell, for 15 years. For the most part, Newell's been the chair, and I've been the vice chair throughout. For those who don't know, the Comp Plan Board is a group that makes modifications or recommends modifications and does reviews of the comp plan from time to time. One of the things they're voting on tonight is a work product of the Comp Plan Board. I've also been on the Drainage Committee for over 10 years, and I've been the chair of the Drainage Committee for 6. I think the proud accomplishment, other than a million other things that we've accomplished, but the big accomplishment for the Drainage Committee during my tenure has been we call it TISDOR. It's the road resurfacing project that's already started at one end, and it's going to work its way back and forth across the town until all the town roads have been repaved. Been the president of Country Estates now for 3 years. Been a member of ROCA for 4 years. I hate to say this, but I've been a member and leader of 198th Terrace since 1988, 30 years. That makes me feel old. I operate a small business here in town as well. I'm a photographer. A lot of you know me as a photographer. I do a lot of work with the town as well. All of the headshots you see out there of all the town employees, that's my work. If you read the town newsletter, You see all the events that are covered. I'm that same Bob Hartman that takes all those pictures, and I love doing it. All of this stuff, it's all a labor of love. I know each of the employees at Town Hall because from time to time, whether it's just taking their picture or working on bigger and more important things, I get to meet everybody at Town Hall and work closely with them from time to time. And it's a pleasure. It's a great group of people here. A lot of you know me from town. You don't know the other side of the life other than the family. As a professional, I've been an IT executive and a project manager. I've managed projects from $10,000 up to $1 billion, teams of 3 people on up to over 500 in some cases. So got a lot of experience working with people. One thing as the project manager generally is they don't work for you. They work with you. And you've got to really cajole and get people to work with you. It's not like I can boss people around as a PM. But when there's $1 billion on the table and it's a huge project, the SunPass toll collection system is what I'm talking about. I worked on the complete refurbishment of that and the replacement. So that's my life on half a page. That's the things I've contributed to the town. Why does all that matter? It indicates experience, knowledge, and sound judgment. In serving the town in these roles and the knowledge and experience I've gained from my professional career has helped me help residents get things done. People come to, and I know based on who I'm seeing in the room, a lot of you have this where people come to you, working with the town long enough, it's go see so-and-so, go talk to Andy. Talk to the council members about this and then bring it to the administration. Or it's, how much can I do to help them? Those who know me know that it's always the same thing. How can I help? Going forward, our town's got a lot of growth issues. We've been experiencing them. We've had our challenges internally, but I think the biggest challenges to our growth right now are external. Look at the traffic problems we have. I'm not sure if everybody knows what Pines has been doing with us lately, but they are giving us issues that need to be resolved. The Florida legislature is also doing some things that are going to create challenges for the council as well. I'm not sure if everybody's aware, but they want to double your homestead exemption. That cuts into town taxes. So what are we going to do next year if this passes? It's going to be on the ballot in the fall. If that passes, it's going to create huge challenges for the town because, like it or not, it costs so much to run our town every year. If the legislature's kind enough to give you all a tax break, it's going to come from somewhere, and I believe that's going to be the town's coffers. So with that said, I view myself as a fiscal conservative. I think my friend Marty, our town finance director, and our town administrator, both would attest to that, because when it comes budget season, first I'm going over their book, then I'm asking them a million questions, then I show up usually armed with a lot of questions that I don't want to say it makes them squirm. They answer them very professionally, but we try to keep them on their toes in terms of how your money is spent. I think our town needs somebody like that to continue on with the challenges that I mentioned a minute or two ago. So let me wrap this up. My values, for those of you who know me, and what I'd like to convey to everybody is authenticity. What you see is who I am and what you get. I believe in recognizing people for their achievements. We have a lot of volunteers in our town, and I don't think they get enough recognition. I don't think we get enough use of our volunteers these days, but that's a whole nother discussion. I also believe that boldness is an attribute, a positive attribute, but it's got to be balanced. Don't want to be a bull in a china shop here. And I can go on and on. I mean, personal responsibility is one of my values, and so is respect. My goals here are to keep our town rural. That's one of our most important things. I believe that if certain communities around here get their way, we won't have horse riding on our main roads anymore. There's a whole lot of things in play right now that we have to protect ourselves against with regards to our lifestyle, with regards to the town's budget and money, etc. So let me wrap this up by saying I believe strongly in transparent communications. To keep communications open with all of you. Another minute, Mr. Mayor?
Go ahead.
Thank you. To keep things open, I have a Facebook page, Bob for SWR. Really simple, BOBFOR If you don't like Facebook but tweet, you'll find me on Twitter at Bob for SWR. If you'd rather communicate with email, bobforswr@gmail.com. Really simple, and yes, there's a theme there. If you'd like to call me, I remember Doug did this and it left the best impression on me. Call my cell, 954-801-1758, or any one of those places you'll find my cell phone number, or I think if you call Town Hall, they can give you my cell phone number too. So remember, vote Bob for SWR. Finally, Southwest Ranches was formed to stop encroachment of development to preserve our rural lifestyle. Now more than ever, it's under attack by outside interests. Folks, in November, please vote for me. I want to keep our town rural and intact. Thank you. And thank you.
Who's next? All right.
Oh, I'm sorry, Debbie Green, I think wanted to come up and say she's the last speaker.
Debbie Green, 5201 Southwest 199th Avenue. Sorry. One issue is a traffic issue that I know it's been brought up. But it just seems it still is an issue on Griffin Road out west from the church and the charter school. I don't know if the town is able to do anything more in giving direction to the officers that are directing that traffic out of both of those facilities, the church and the charter school. And it seems that they tend to let way too many cars turn all at once instead of staggering it. Because what happens is it just backs up from Bonaventure all the way into the 190 avenues. I'm on 199th and sometimes we can't get out. So I just wanted to bring that up, see if there's anything more we can do. On a good note, I came this morning to the driver's license mobile thing here. I wasn't able to renew online at this time. And it was an amazing experience. So I want to thank you all for bringing it here. It was just such a pleasant experience, like none other renewing a driver's license. And I think that was it. Thank you.
Thank you, David.
Who's next on the list?
Where'd you get the list? Oh, everybody's gone.
I think that's it. So, board reports.
Board reports. Any board reports?
Just one. Well, at least one. Bob Hartman, Chair of the Drainage and Infrastructure Advisory Board. At the December meeting, I brought a recommendation to you from the Drainage Committee. If you recall, at the Drainage Committee meeting, we had discussed for new construction, pads be built with properties that are have a canal in front of the home. And I guess since that meeting, I've learned that the situation doesn't just exist in Sunshine Ranches. There's a few other limited areas in town where the same problem exists. Our recommendation was that, I believe it was a 8 by 16 or 8 by 12 pad be built at in a location that would really be determined by the town engineer or a designee that, because every site's going to be different, the conditions are different, maybe that's too big a pad for some, maybe, that's just right for others. I believe we left that with you as a recommendation. At the recent comp plan board meeting, it was brought up again as something that needed to be addressed. So I guess I'm looking for direction, whether you want any further feedback or anything else from the Drainage Committee at this point in terms of feedback or recommendations. Because, we talked about it at the other meeting and some things were brought up that were valid points, but I think we did what we intended to do. So I guess I'm looking for feedback from the council when, I don't know if you want to wait for Doug to get back or not sure how to proceed from here.
I apologize, Bob.
No problem. I guess we're looking for feedback, Steve, on whether whether the council wants the Drainage Committee to go any further in terms of investigation. 'Cause if you remember at the other meeting, Newell was bringing up stakeholders need to be included, et cetera, and we had thought we'd made the recommendation of putting them at, based on site-specific requirements, on new construction only, and that's kind of where we left it.
Right. I don't believe that, I don't believe the council has actually requested that, feedback on that, right?
Right.
Right. So, I think that it's always in the purview of the board.
Right.
If they wish to bring something to the council, a recommendation. I was at the meeting, there was good discussion on that, and I think there was some, kind of a reasonable compromise that I think could be a good recommendation. I certainly, as a council member, would appreciate that, and so I think that, I don't believe we had a formal vote. Do we have a formal vote?
Okay, remember this was discussed at 2 meetings. It was originally discussed at the Drainage Committee.
Right.
We'd come back, we'd made some recommendations last month, and then it was brought up again at the comp plan board, and I think that's what you might be referring to. We
Okay.
had a lot of discussion, but at that point, I think, and Newell can correct me if he wants to get up and speak on behalf of the comp plan board, but we did not, I'm not sure if we didn't vote or we voted against proceeding on it. I think we didn't vote. We just agreed that we weren't going to proceed.
Yeah, well, generally speaking, those two boards, well, especially the comp board, is given work to do on certain issues that are long-term type issues, and we look for you all, and you all do a great job of hashing through the details so that when it comes to us, it's a much cleaner product that has some good thought behind it. This issue here, personally, as I stated in the meeting, the comp plan meeting, I believe is more of a drainage issue, not a comp plan issue. It's more of a nuts and bolts issue, which is drainage as opposed to...
Building code, I think, is what we also agreed upon.
Right, rather than a comprehensive plan, which is a much higher level document. So I personally, while I always, welcome comments from wherever, I personally believe that this belongs with the Drainage Board, not the Comprehensive Planning Board.
And that's what I really came up to address. Was there any additional feedback or any additional information that the council would need from us to proceed? Because again, we made a recommendation that this be carried forward. We weren't specific on any of the different governing, I guess not ordinances, what am I saying? Building code, zoning code, or comp plan. We weren't specific on that, figuring Rod and or the administration can move forward on, based on our recommendation. So.
Well, I think what I would say, I don't remember, I know we talked about it, was there a specific recommendation that we voted on to forward to the council?
We did.
Okay.
I'd have to dig it up. I don't have it with me.
So then what I would say is, Rod, from your standpoint, that should find its way into a presentation to the council.
Good.
So that the council can then discuss it and determine whether it wants to take action on it or not.
Good. If you need our help, first Wednesday of the month. Thank you, Rod. All right. Okay. That's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other board reports?
Hi, I'm going to speak on behalf of the Education Advisory Board, just to remind everyone that tomorrow is another food truck event at Hawks Bluff, and the raffles and silent auctions are all to benefit the town of Southwest Ranch's scholarship fund. The other thing is, touching back on what Bob said earlier, is that the town really has so many amazing volunteers that give so much of themselves, whether it's through business, their personal, they just give so much. And that's one of the other things that the fundraisers for the scholarship fund is the Ranchers of Distinction. So we're still they're still accepting nominations for anyone that wants that has friends, neighbors, people that in the town to nominate as a Rancher of Distinction. And then application is on the town website. You can find it there. And it would just it's a wonderful way to honor and to recognize the great volunteers in the town. Thanks.
Any other board reports? Then we're going to go in council comments.
I got some.
Sorry, Astor. Come on up, Astor.
I'm a bit slow. Yeah, Astonite, 8930 Northwest 12th Place, Plantation. Vice Mayor and Council. It is, actually, I want to speak about the development of the Frontier Trails Park. I think in the budget this year, what I saw was like a $50,000 grant from the town wanted to get, I think, from FERDAP, but it was not funded. The town's contribution to it was $20,000. Now, the Parks Foundation had put in $30,000 to make the $100,000 for the Frontier Trails project. With $50,000 gone out of it, it's only left now with $50,000. So I'm just hoping that my $30,000 plus the $20,000. So I'm hoping that the council will be able to make some provision to increase their $20,000 amount so we can make something substantial for the development of Frontier Trails. Because, just to clear the place costs a lot of money. So you want to make a pretty good dent, because that's one of the last areas which we have not met our commitments for the grants. So I'm asking you to help as much as possible to see if we can increase the contribution from the town to make this a worthwhile project. On the other hand, next thing is, we had the car show in November, was pretty successful. I won't tell you how much yet, what's coming in. And on Saturday, we're having Roots Festival, Music Festival at Rolling Oaks Park, and I hope everybody can come because it's the first event we're trying to see if this can work for the town, and if so, next year we'll have a bigger festival so we can get more money for the parks. The whole idea is to get money for the parks. So help as much as possible, and I hope all of you will be there. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay.
Good to see you, Astor.
Good to see you, Astor.
All right, we're into council comments. To my right.
I got a couple things.
You good?
Yeah, I got something I'd like
Go
to
ahead.
say. I would like all of you, and I wish there was a lot more people here, to take a look around this room. Do you notice anything? It's wonderful. The pictures, the carpet, and the wall. Look at the wall behind you. That wasn't like that before. So if you don't like it, blame it on George. George, you did a outstanding job. It is absolutely beautiful. Andy's staff, thank you so much for all your hard work. I mean, I'm excited. I love these walls. It kind of pulls the room together, and it's been a long time coming since these pictures should be, put up there, but the room overall looks beautiful. George, go ahead. Take your little right hand and do one of these because you did a really good job. You should be very, very proud of yourself. I'm very proud of you. You took a chance. I forget what my other thing is. I was so excited about that.
That's a good one.
Yep. Go ahead, Gary. I'm going to pass it to you. If I think of it, I'll jump in there.
Okay, got a few things to go over. Good evening, everybody. Thank you for coming. Excuse me. Just a couple announcements and then a couple stuff I want to discuss. I'll try to be as quick and brief as possible. There's a lot going on right now, as I'm sure everybody's seeing. We have the townwide garage sale coming up in February on the 17th, 8 to 12 p.m. at the Equestrian Park. We have the chili cook-off on the 24th, the Parks Board from 12 to 4:30 p.m. And you know, I've been in the winner's circle for a long time, and I'm going to give somebody else a chance. I think I'm going to retire.
Really?
So
Retire on top.
go out as one of the better chili
Reigning
beans.
champion.
Yeah, and but I'm sure people are going to discuss that with me.
I may have to reconsider getting back in there.
We have the Education Advisory Board at the Equestrian Park this Friday, the 26th, from 5 to 9. It's got a food truck event. A lot of numerous baskets are in there, and I know I contributed one or two. I forgot how many going on. So worthwhile event. It benefits the scholarship fund, and the board does so much good work for our town, and we need to support them. Saturday, the 27th, Astor just mentioned, and I'm just going to reiterate it since it's in my notes. We have the Roots Music Festival at the Rolling Oaks Barn from noon to 5 p.m. All should attend. I'm not exactly sure how the ticketing system works. You can count Town Hall on that one tomorrow. I believe you pay at the gate. It's at the gate, okay. And it's $15? $15, okay. All right. We have, jumping ahead a little bit here, we have Waters Matters Day on the 10th of March, Saturday, 9 to 3 p.m. at Treetops. There is admission to the park, but I believe that's all you pay for. And it's really kind of neat. You really find out a lot about our ecosystem that we have down here in South Florida, and just how precarious position that we get into sometimes with it, and how precious it is. So I highly recommend everybody go to that. And I'll be talking more about that in February. Next, I'd like to thank Mike Hanley. We got a basketball hoop over at Country Estates Park. I use it once a week on the way home. I actually have the ball in the back of my car, and it rolls around and drives everybody crazy that's in there. But that's the price of exercise. And for 10 minutes, I shoot hoops and then go home and take 4 ibuprofen. So it works great. But thank you, Mike, for the idea. It's ideas like that make us a really unique place. Want to thank George. Great job on Town Hall. Really changed the whole character of it. When I walked in here the other day, my jaw hit the floor. The wow factor was great, and I just want to say thank you, because I know, you're not the run-of-the-mill, hey, I'm here to lay carpet. You got ideas, you've got vision. You're a real asset and an incredible guy, and I appreciate that. Thank you. We already went over the trash pickup, so I don't want to go into that. But to answer an earlier question by a gentleman here with bulk trash, we only pay for what we pick up. So everybody needs to understand that. If Waste Pro did not pick up anything the first 3 months, we didn't get charged anything. So I need everybody to kind of understand that. That's how it works. We pay by the tonnage. So I just wanted to answer that question on the record. And last thing I want to close off with is I'd like everybody to know that I'm real happy to hear that Bob Hartman is going to be running for office for Steve's seat. And Steve, thank you for all your years of whatever. I can't go back. Last meeting was a nice standing ovation, which was greatly deserved, and we really do appreciate it. And I know you're tired. And Bob's stepping up to the plate, and I can't think of a more qualified individual. He has my support totally, and I can't say enough good things about him. I'm just surprised it's taken him this long, but I know Steve's good friends with Steve, so.
Wait a minute.
Sorry, I had to throw that in there. So it's just for fun. But yeah, Bob is an integral part of our community. He serves on numerous boards. He's, the accolades, I could go on and on and on, and, that previously mentioned. And I just want to know that he has my support 100%. And so I just want to get that out there. And at any rate, so I will close with that, Mayor, Vice Mayor.
Thank you. Next is council member comments.
Yeah.
Want to start with?
Yep, thank you. All right, so we haven't been here for a while, so I'll just warn you up front. I know it's already late. I got some things to cover, so we'll get the good one out first. George, I also have to add, I can just reiterate what people have said, but it looks fantastic, George. Really appreciate, far and beyond what I had anticipated when we sat up here and voted for this. This is beyond that. Thank you very much. Appreciate you doing that. Yeah. I'm glad you left a little more space on the end of that there, too. Okay, so
We need pictures in the bathroom.
I wanted to touch base, Debbie, on the traffic out west and our ability to help out there. There's not much. We've already have had conversations out there. Unfortunately, those are privately contracted, and they're not with Davy, so we have zero leverage in being able to do it. You're right. It is a problem out there, and we'll try to continue to have conversations to get it better, but I can't promise much beyond that. So. Okay, so one of the things we had the fire board last night, and I mentioned this in the earlier meeting when we had the fire board of directors meeting, but last night was the fire advisory board meeting, and which I'll tell you was a very good discussion on a number of topics, and I won't touch on them all, but I do need to touch on one. I think it's we covered it in the board of directors meeting for fire, but it's critical enough that I want to get it on the record for our council meeting as well. And that is that one of the options that is being proposed, you all, I think, are aware that the current facilities out west for the fire is well beyond its life. Should have been, taken care of long ago, but as part of our new contract with Davy, it now has to be, and it is being replaced, which is fantastic. However, one of the options that we're talking about doing is having the Davy team station basically temporarily housed out of the facility at Volunteer and Sterling. Thank you. And so that is too far. It's already 8 to 9 minutes. It's already about 8 minutes based on the analysis I had done a while back from their current location out to 210 to add another 8 or 9 minutes onto that. You're pushing 20 minutes for an emergency response. It's just absolutely, it's not viable, and I just want it completely wiped off the table as an option, and I want to make sure that's on the record. There's other options I think that'll be more viable and safer for our residents. So another note that I want to make from that meeting we had last night. Speaking of volunteers, we brought up the need for volunteers and how fortunate we are to have in this town all the volunteers we have. One of the individuals that serves on the fire advisory board, virtually everybody on there, not everybody, but almost everybody on there is a professional in the fire and rescue world. But one of the members that we have there, I need to call out in this meeting because Jeff Morrell has been, appointed or nominated or voted, I'm not sure how it was, but he is, for this year, the Fire Marshal of the Year for the state of Florida. That is a huge honor, a huge honor. And he comes here and volunteers his time for us, for, our town to be a better town. So we're very fortunate for all our volunteers. That's a huge honor, and I just wanted to call that out. Thank you, Jeff, for all that you do, and appreciate that, and congratulations. All right. So the last thing that I wanted to touch on, we have a situation in town that Code is working on, and Keith is working on, and you all are probably the council is all familiar with it. I'm sure some of the you all out there, residents, are aware of it. There was a huge debris transfer station in Rolling Oaks that was going on, truck after truck after truck of debris. And when I say truck after truck after truck, I'm not exaggerating. I'm not exaggerating. They filmed an 11-minute video, and it was constant truck after truck, truck dump, truck dump, truck dump, truck dump, truck dump for 11 minutes at between 6 and 6:30 in the morning. Think about all the traffic that generates. Think about all that debris. You talk about debris, all the debris that's there, and it was illegal. So that portion of it was shut down, but all those trucks are still out there. Much of the debris is still out there and rotting, and it's a very bad situation. The bottom line is that type of an operation should not be operating in a residential. That should not be right next to somebody's house. And so I'm going to be meeting with Robert and with Keith, and just to let you all be aware, and we're going to try and work out some proposals here that are fair to those that are in the business, but fair to the residents that live there as well. And it's going to be a little bit of a hot potato when it comes to us, but I think it's important that we look at it and we make some adjustments. When we look at this, I'm going to ask each of you to watch the video. I don't know if you all have seen it yet or not, but that 11-minute video to understand the magnitude of what can happen based on our current code. And so you'll see why we need to do something. So that's just an introduction to it. We'll hear more about it in the future. Thank you, Freddie.
Okay. We're into councilman comments. Dee's not here right now. Do you want to go again? Or?
No, we're done. I think just yourself, if you have any comments.
No, I don't have any. Okay, then legal comments.
Thank you very much for the opportunity to sit with you. You're the most delightful government that I'm familiar with. Oh, I didn't mean to say that, Lauderdale Lakes. Really, it's a great honor to sit with you. It's always a great pleasure. I spoke, what do you call it, text? Is that it, text? I text with Keith. It happens that I'm here on false pretenses. I was told he's going to be in Philadelphia. Las Vegas? And he will be in Philly on Sunday, and then I guess he'll be back Monday or Tuesday. Anyway, thank you very much.
Good to have you here.
All right, then we get to administrator's comment.
Yeah, thank you, Vice Mayor. Yeah, I have a few things, and unfortunately, because of the situation this evening, I only have 3 of you on the dais, but I do need consensus from council members on a couple of different things. One is, as you all know, we're having issues with Engine 82. We had the town attorney draft a letter which we sent to Rosenbauer, which I've shared with all of you. Rosenbauer hasn't responded from that yet. I'd like to authorize Keith to take the next step and pursue that with them. Just want to make sure the council doesn't have any issues or problems with that. You guys, I mean, we're not jumping into litigation, but obviously we want to take the next step and continue to pursue it. And depending on how it goes, obviously Keith will be back to update you on that. So as long as nobody has any objections to that, I do want to authorize him to at least continue to pursue Rosenbauer. And yes.
Yeah, just, if I can just jump in there just for a little background. So, we had this engine, the warranty is running out. We've had a series of issues with it. There's some critical issues to the point where we discussed with them the possibility of trading it in and getting some sort of, good value for it towards a better unit. And unfortunately, that broke down to not really an operable. So unfortunately, a legal side was about the only thing we left, the only thing that we had left available to us. I will say one other thing while I've got the floor, just as the mayor's not feeling well tonight, so that's why he left. He's just not feeling well, and I don't think.
Thank you.
I think he's gone home.
Yes.
So that's why. So why he's not here.
Yeah, thank you. The mayor will not be back this evening. I do have a couple other things fire-related that I did want to bring to your attention. Some grants that we're looking at pursuing on behalf of fire. We're looking at partnering with the rest of municipalities in Broward County on an AFG grant for an alerting system. The equipment cost on that would be $50,000. The town's match would be between $2,500 and $7,500. So it looks like there's some substantial savings to be had there. Again, partnering with the rest of the county on this new notification system that's going in. There are two other grants that we're looking at pursuing as well. Both assistance to firefighter grant. I'm sorry, one is an assistance to firefighters grant for a thermal imaging camera and vehicle extrication equipment. The grant amount, if we're able to get that, is $42,000. Has a very small match for the town of $1,236. So that's both the safety-related equipment in order to better provide service to our residents and protection. Obviously, that's equipment that we need, and it's certainly very favorable grant terms. The last one that we're also going to pursue is a state fire marshal grant for decontamination kit. It's a $1,500 grant, but there is no town match for that.
Great.
So as long as town council doesn't have any issues with those, we're going to go ahead and pursue those grants on behalf of the volunteer fire department. All very positive, very favorable terms for the town, and as long as there's no issues, we're going to pursue those. Okay? And that's really all I had for you this evening. I know we got a book ahead of us to go through, and we'll keep rolling.
Okay, we're on the council comments. Is any other comments on any of the council?
Legal?
All right, then we'll move into,
Russell to read in the ordinance.
Huh?
Russell to read in the ordinance.
go ahead, Russell.
Yeah, we have an item, second reading of an ordinance. Vice Mayor, it's an ordinance of the town of Southwest Ranches, Florida, adopting the 5-year schedule of capital improvements for fiscal years 2018 through 2022 pursuant to Chapter 163 Florida statutes, providing for conflict, providing for severability, and providing for an effective date. This item was approved on first reading December 14, 2017.
I'll make a motion to approve.
Yeah, Vice Mayor, if I may, this is second reading on this item. It passed before the council previously 5-0. It's more of a housekeeping issue, updating our information with the state. And I don't know if there's any public comment on this.
Any public comments on this one? And so, public comments is closed.
Okay.
Then we'll call for the, any,
Have a motion to approve?
call
Yeah,
the question.
we have a motion and a second. So Councilmember Schroeder,
Yes.
Councilmember Jablonski,
Yes.
Councilmember Bright Cruz,
Yes.
and Vice Mayor Fisickelli.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Item 11.
The next item is
Item
item
11,
11.
Yeah, read it into the record.
This is a resolution of the Town Council of the Town of Southwest Ranches, Florida, approving an agreement with Weekly Asphalt Paving, Inc. in the amount of $235,392 to complete the Sterling Road guardrail improvements, authorizing the mayor, town administrator, and town attorney to enter into an agreement and providing an effective date.
Motion?
I make a motion to approve?
Second.
Public?
Call the question.
Public?
No,
Public comment.
public
I'm
comment.
sorry. Public comment.
Saying none?
No public comment. Public comments closed.
Council comment?
Any council comments?
Nope, call the question.
All right.
I know how you feel about it. We're going to work harder to promote it.
Call the question, Robert.
Councilmember Schroeder,
Yes.
Councilmember Jablonski,
Yes.
Councilmember Bright Cruz,
Yes.
Mayor Fisckelli, Vice Mayor
Yes.
Fisckelli, excuse me. Okay, motion.
Steve, do me a favor and take over.
Russell, if you can read in item number 12.
Sure. It's a resolution of the Town Council of the Town of Southwest Ranches, Florida, approving a piggyback agreement with Amroad LLC in the amount of $20,651.72 to complete the Southwest 178th Avenue striping project, authorizing the mayor, town administrator, and town attorney to issue a purchase order and providing an effective date.
Motion to approve?
Second. Is there any public comment on the item? Public comment closed. Any council comment?
Nope.
Council comment closed. Russell, if you can please call the question.
Councilmember Schroeder,
Yes.
Councilmember Jablonski.
Yes.
Councilmember Bright Cruz,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Fisckelli.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Okay. Item number 13.
This is a resolution of the Town Council of the Town of Southwest Ranches, Florida, officially adopting the Broward County Enhanced Local Mitigation Strategy Plan, which creates a comprehensive mitigation program minimizing the impact of natural and technological disasters through the distribution of grant funds for implementation of requested, needed, and town-approved mitigation projects within the Town of Southwest Ranches, authorizing the mayor, town administrator, and town attorney to execute any and all documentation necessary to effectuate the intent of this resolution and providing an effective date.
I make a motion to approve.
Second.
I wonder if we can, that's kind of a lot of mumbo jumbo. Can somebody kind of walk us through that a little bit?
Go ahead, Andy. You can.
Russell, are you familiar with this item?
I am familiar with it.
Okay. I think you're more familiar with it than I am because I've been out of the office.
Okay. Basically, this is an item where we had passed Broward County's local mitigation plan, and in essence, this would allow us to, if there were any mitigation projects that we wanted to do to stem the tide of any kind of flooding concerns or anything like that, any eligible funding projects that FEMA would put out, this is a precursor for that program. So this is basically a housekeeping item. We've previously passed the plan, so this is Broward County's enhanced mitigation plan, and FEMA requires us to basically adopt this if we wanted to apply for any funding in the future.
Excellent. Great. Thank you. Is there any public comment on this item? Seeing no public comment, public comment is closed. Any further council comment? Russell, if you can read it in,
Sure.
call the question.
Councilmember Schroeder,
Yes.
Councilmember Jablonski.
Yes.
Councilmember Bright Cruz,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Fisckelli.
Yes.
Okay, item number 14.
Item 14, this is a resolution of the Town Council of the Town of Southwest Ranches authorizing the issuance of a purchase order in an amount not to exceed $35,482.55 to purchase a new utility vehicle, approving a budget amendment to the fiscal year 2017-2018 budget for a utility vehicle, and providing for an effective date.
If I may, I would like to have this item deferred until the next meeting.
Table to the next meeting?
Exactly. There's needs to be a little bit more work. I had quite a few issues with it, so if that is acceptable with council, that's what I would like to do, to defer it until the next meeting.
Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Okay. Want to call the roll?
Sure. So this is a motion to table to February 8th.
Right, to the next
And-
meeting, right.
Councilmember Schroeder,
It's okay.
Yes.
Councilmember Jablonski,
Yes.
Councilmember Bright Cruz.
Yes.
Vice Mayor Fisckelli.
Yes.
Done,
Item is tabled.
done. We'll move on.
Number 15.
Item 15, this is a companion item, actually, to item 14. This is a resolution of the Town Council of the Town of Southwest Ranches, Florida, declaring a town vehicle as surplus inventory, authorizing the town administrator to properly declare and to dispose of the surplus inventory, waiving all applicable procurement code provisions to the contrary, allowing the town administrator and town attorney to execute any and all documents that may be necessary to dispose of the surplus vehicle and to effectuate the intent of this resolution, providing an effective date.
I make a motion to approve.
Second.
Okay. Is there any public comment on this item?
Seeing none?
Seeing none, public comment is closed. Any council comment on this? Okay, I'll just say that this vehicle, even though we tabled the one before it, this vehicle is non-functional.
Yes.
So
leaving.
regardless, it
leaving.
it needs to move on.
It needs
So
to move
even if it has to be pushed to move on. You can call the question.
Councilmember Schroeder,
Yes.
Councilmember Jablonski,
Yes.
Councilmember Bright Cruz,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Fisickelli.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Item number 16.
Yeah, item number 16, we are going to defer to the next meeting. Obviously, we don't have a full council, we don't have the town attorney here,
Right.
and we'd like to defer that item once again till the next meeting.
Right, so this item is a discussion regarding the annual review for the town administrator and the financial administrator. So that will be deferred to the next meeting.
I make a motion to defer it to the February meeting?
Second. If we need a motion. I
Yeah, we
don't
do.
need one.
Oh,
Yeah, I don't
we
think-
don't?
yeah.
You don't need a second
Okay.
for tabling motion.
We're just- Okay, item number 17 is approval of minutes.
Make a motion to
Any,
approve.
anybody, do I have a motion?
Motion to approve.
Second.
Second, any public comment on the minutes? You know, I'm starting to think y'all are not reading the minutes anymore.
Debbie, did you read those minutes?
We're good.
Way too.
All right, good. Any council comments on the minutes? All right, Russell?
Councilmember Schroeder,
Yes.
Councilmember Jablonski,
Yes.
Councilmember Bright Cruz,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Fisickelli.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Okay, do I have a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
Thank you. Thank you all.
Thank you. A pleasure.
Thank you,
Take care of
Steve.
yourself.
Yeah, he could have gone either way,
Yeah.
but they
Yes, ma'am.